It's Friday. It's Fun Friday. And it's also the start of the new era. The cosmic party has begun. It is the rhythm of ascension. And I'll tell you why in Namaste Today Live. That was some trippy art just now. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. I'm Sensei Christopher Witecki, the host with the most, your cosmic friend here to help guide you through the planetary energies and shifts of humankind. We are a once-a-week show. We go live. We thank you for your patience today because we are facing the technology challenges of tomorrow today. We're streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and any other platform you can think of. So if you are on any of the platforms and you see us right now, do us a favor. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Interact with the consciousness of that channel so that we can be promoted to a better place. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, SeriousJoy.tv. If you're in the chat, say hello. Tell us what your sign is and where you're chatting from. It's so nice to see people from around the world coming together on a Friday night. All of us that don't have dates. And we'll be talking about that as well. Maybe you do have your date right next to you. But we are in Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. An interesting holiday, I have to say, for the sign of Aquarius. Although Aquariuses are getting a lot more dynamic and loving now that Pluto's in their sign. So, you know, maybe they will move in and grow into Valentine's Day. And the two will be completely synonymous. This week in our top headlines for astrology, the sun will ingress into Pisces. That means it is officially the end of the old spiritual era and the beginning of the new. I'll be talking about that in our planets and transits. Saturn will reach step 20 Pisces. Now that means that the karmic boil goes to a new pot. It's now time to focus on the karma of society, the karma of the world, the karma of dictators, the karma of, the world going wrong. And so it does finally shift out of us and onto them. We'll talk about that. Let the games begin. And Mercury squares Jupiter. That means your mind will get into an argument with your belief structure. I wonder who's going to win. I'll have those odds after the break. Now, this week, we're also going to have on Astro Mingle a very cool guest, a renowned psychic, a medium, a spiritual teacher from Australia. His name is Sean Collyns. We're going to actually compare notes about how we do our thing. And I'm looking forward to maybe trading some readings with him. But before we do all that, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. Or not. Okay. Hello, hello. Are we just gonna? Well, let's let you guys talk. I guess we're not. So let's fill in the gap here. All right, that's the 40 days of past lives and karma. I guess I got to get the program of what's going on tonight. That's kind of an example of how things are flashing in and out of reality right now. But the 40 days of past life and karma is something I want to tell you about. You really want to do it. We've brought it down to $49.95 for a person who is not grandfathered into SeriousJoy.com's nature family, the ones who are the original descendants or original visitors of Serious Joy. This is a program that is 6 weeks. It is an audio lecture every day. And the magic of this, which was downloaded from my own guides, is that we coach you on the day of the energy. So for instance, on step 0, which is I protect, Pluto, Scorpio energy, the first day basically, the invisible day, we will give you a lecture about past lives and we'll talk about boundary issues you have in your life. And so you'll explore boundary issues as a means or a part of your karma. And we'll look for places in your chart where you find those issues. And we have a cipher that allows you to decode your chart to see exactly what the boundary issues are. And then we just go step by step all the way up to consciousness until we get to step 42, way past step 30, where we start to come to a conclusion in early Aries about how our ego and our behavior is actually affected and modified by all this karma. So this is one of those things that until you think about it, you don't put the pieces together. You just don't put the pieces together of what a past life is or what your karma is. You have to be a person who's like an active Buddhist or someone who's always looking for those answers to have them come on their own. But let me tell you, once you do this work with yourself, and it's not work because you're thinking about you, so it's a blast, you really come away feeling different because you no longer are haunted by certain aspects of your life. You no longer realize that, you no longer think that something's wrong with you. You realize that this is a part of a pattern you've been a part of for a long time. You're also very more forgiving to other people because you realize their stuff is all their patterns. And so it's really that first step, the stairway to heaven of understanding ascension and understanding, what makes us tick as humans. So it starts next Wednesday, the 19th. We'll also have an orientation on that day where we'll stream into the classrooms and we'll talk to you, introduce you to your instructors, give you instruction on how to do it. And then we'll be with you day after day after day for 42 days, helping you to uncover these mysteries. We also have tutoring available for people. Now, the tutoring is really a means of helping people understand their chart better and get to the bottom of their numbers. And that's something you can add on to the purchase if you'd like. All of that is available at seriousjoy.cloud. Seriousjoy.cloud. This is all of our stuff that we keep in the cloud. Okay, gotcha. Roger that. So that said, it's Valentine's Day. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Scott and I did an LOL yesterday that was phenomenal, mostly because we were having a blast and we're talking about, risky topics. We talked about sex the week prior, and this last week we talked about love and romance. And, I think that, and he says too, that relationships are going to change phenomenally in the new era. In fact, we may not just have one. That's one thing that's kind of fading away, the idea of just one in a lifetime. So we ultimately are people that, are not going to be satisfied with the growth of one. But, here's a promo to watch LOL real quick. If you haven't caught it, take a look at this. Hey, everybody. We just wrapped our latest show of LOL Leading Out Loud, streaming live to YouTube. Our topic this week was relationships in the new era. And the question is it all going to polyamorism? Polyamorism. Whew, say that 5 times.
Well, we're definitely moving, and I see a lot of people moving out of that whole empathic, narcissistic trend. People are actually finding their true roles that they want to play in their relationship, so it's definitely evolving into.
And what roles are those?
Top and bottom, middle.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the straights.
Right.
Yeah. But you can catch it right now at leadingoutloud.com. We'll see you there. We have cool animation there. Cool. So yeah, we're trying to give you guys more access to our shows and bring them into each other because they're becoming a tight family here at Serious Joy. And by the way, they're all pieces of intellectual property that you can advertise on. Now, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to talk about next because we're moving around here on the fly. But we'll talk about Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report. One last thing I'm going to plug right here is, I did 10 years ago this show, not even a show, it's a product called Secrets of Birthdays. And our technology at Serious Joy has this amazing ability to assemble a reading out of audio files, like to assemble one. And to assemble it on the fly. Pull, put it all together into one stream. Sounds like it was done professionally. And what that allows us to do, and this is my secret plans, but they're not secret anymore, is to be able to have a full reading for me at some point, in space, right? So people can just buy a reading and they can listen to it forever and ever. So Secrets of Birthdays was the first prototype for this. And we focused on love and lust. I focused on love and lust because at the time, it was a huge focus. Like there was tons of dating shows on. You were just now seeing Tinder blow up. You were just now seeing these online dating things starting to happen. And that migration to people falling in love over the internet, basically, and falling in love with images and pictures rather than people. But nonetheless, it is an amazing report. We just had a new staff come on, and we made them all listen to it, and they were all blown away at how incredibly accurate it is. Now, I'm bringing it up because it is just one of the many features of SeriousJoy.com. You will get this free, unlocked immediately if you sign up tonight. You just click on your Secrets of Birthdays link, and boom, it will assemble for you. And if you don't know, I did a bit of a crazy campaign when I promoted this. And here's a throwback on our Friday to Secrets of Birthdays.
Having a hard time with love lasting long enough? How often is your first date your last date? Have you noticed that your relationships last no more than 2 days? They say love never lasts, but in your case, it doesn't even start. Your birthday is a secret soul security number. We know everything about you, how you love, how you lust, and how you like to be lusted by. In one video, you'll understand what you're looking for in love and what you offer. Secrets of Birthdays, now available at Secrets.
That's the last time I danced on camera, by the way. But the ratings went down after that. But that was fun. Those are fun. We're going to play those like crazy. And if seriousbirthdays.com is going to take you back to Serious Joy. So one of the many reasons to join Serious Joy and give us a try. We're a community of love and light. We're by your side every day. We are always with you. We are always learning from you, and we're always teaching what we know. And it's a new age prediction. I mean, it's a new age prototype of, I think, how businesses will be as far as Serious Joy is concerned. We try to be a conscious capitalistic business, and it's not always easy, but it's also very rewarding. So give it a try. Come on down to seriousjoy.com. All right. So with that said, we promoted everything we have in the vault now. We're actually buying time there to get something rolling. So we'll do Zodiac weather later, a little bit later in the show. I think it's time to jump into this week's planets and transits. I think Adam dropped some acid when he was doing these this week. Like, these are all like psychedelic images. Welcome to Planets and Transits. We are in the spectrum consciousness now of the edge of Aquarius and moving into the early Pisces season. This is going to be one hell of a shift, I'll tell you that right now. You probably felt most of it. In fact, things are going to quiet down significantly in the next week or two. You know, the first 2 weeks are very slow. I think part of the reason for that is because when you go into Pisces, you've got to slow down to listen. You got to slow down to feel the subtleties. You know, spiritual vibration comes in a very subtle way, a very quiet way. And so if you're not quiet enough or listening to yourself in the right ways, you don't pick up on the signs, signals, and the lessons it has to do with. But before we do that, let's talk about the end of Aquarius, shall we? We just had a full moon. It was on Wednesday morning. It's step 24 at Leo. That full moon was so delicate that I fell asleep talking about it on camera with Robbie. Like, it's just so quiet, and like people, I don't know if you felt kind of seduced or tired or low energy. I think it was the combination of the full moon in Leo and also Mars retrograde at the same time. And what that ultimately was, that full moon at step 24, was the subtle detachment or release of a heart's attachment to some sort of dream you once had. So you might have had a dream that you'd be, married to Shah Jahan Kapoor. You might have a dream that you would have been, the first, whatever in space. And your heart wanted that, and it got you places, and you didn't make it. You're not there yet. And you realize you're just not in love with that anymore. That's not what makes you excited. That's not what turns you on, so to speak. And that is really the result of, our era change. People don't realize it, but a lot of times when you are turned on by something, like really excited, like super excited, over the top, over the moon excited, you're actually not excited at what it's going to be in a good way. You're excited because you're nervous. The topic makes you nervous. And it makes you nervous because there's a lot of karma under there. If you find someone that you meet in public and you're just crazy hot for them to hop into bed with them, you're nervous, okay? Because there's something underneath the skin. There's something in that vibration, in that relationship, that is actually making you nervous. But because she's brand new or he's brand new and they're good looking or whatever you interpret it first as, oh my God, I'm so excited for this person. The truth is your soul is like vibrating like crazy because you're in front of someone who has karmic issues for you. And the deeper point here is that love up until now has been basically based on pain. Every time I've seen successful relationships, I go in their chart and lo and behold, he's good at what she's bad at. She's good at what he's bad at. And so it ends up being this kind of plug and play of exchanging band-aids and wisdom and nurturing each other, holding your hair up when they're throwing up, that kind of thing. But it wasn't necessarily based on this true love, based on this true connection. There was a connection, and there's probably a historical one, but it wasn't based on what we do together. It was based on what we won't do anymore. And that's fallen into these sort of patterns. So here we are on Valentine's Day, and which is interesting, right? It's step 26 is Valentine's Day, which is really like a day you get married. Not going on a date, so that's kind of skewed. But, overall, we are coming out of the Aquarius season, and the full moon in Leo was sort of just the door gently opening and allowing you to pull away from something your heart once wanted. I don't feel people know what their heart wants next. I think some more work has to be done to know that. So if you don't know where you're going next, join the party. A lot of us do not know where we're going next, but we know where we're not going, right? We have eliminated the knots now. I think that if someone's written here, it's all old karmic past life connections. That's true. I think relationships are. I think there's only one woman I dated in this lifetime that I think was new, but she had my birthday, so it was like a weird algorithm. Anyways, it was like dating myself in female form. So even that was a lesson, right, in certain ways. But every other relationship that I have, including people that work with me, people that I meet sometimes, would appear to be strangers. A few minutes into it, and I can feel there's a past life pull, and I think that's part of what we're going to. So these final degrees of Aquarius are really about finding a posture, an energetic posture that allows us to nurture our frequencies and allows us to be free in our frequencies. We don't have to strap them down anymore. So you don't have to hold back those feelings for the same sex, or hold back those feelings of resentment because you're afraid of them being too damaged to respond to you. No longer having to strap down and hold back our vibration. Instead, coming up with the perfect sort of ohm or tone that allows us to stay in this sort of comfortable vibrational space with ourself. So we're all finding our own, really what I call our metopia, right? Where it's just perfect to be me, where it feels perfect to be me. And you've probably felt this before in times, when everything's going right and your consciousness is focused in the right ways, you might find, wow, I feel amazing. I'm just so amazing today. Everything feels great. And it's mostly because I think everything is going along really well with everything else. Nothing's in conflict with yourself. And you want to kind of think about what did that feel like? So as we start this week, tonight, it's step 26. So we're committing now to a direction. We'll then go to step 27 tomorrow, where we take those first steps in toward that direction. Step 28, then we'll hold space and meditate to hold that space and make it memorized by our soul and say, this is our default setting, this is our default vibration. And then we go to step 29 where we test it, and then boom, we go into Pisces. So it's really the wrap up of the Aquarius energy. But at the same time, it's the beginning of, metopia. And also the beginning of reality. Every time I say that, I laugh. Reality. What is reality? Well, Robbie and I were talking about it. And we went live this week. You guys, did you see the Mega Monthlies that we streamed live on Wednesday? It was a live show with Robbie Hunt and myself, covering the whole month of Pisces coming up. So you can get a preview of Pisces on all of our streaming networks. There it is. Yay. But we titled this month of Pisces as the me-go versus the we-go. And ultimately what this is an idea that our ego is going to transform. Now, you may not know the egos transform. But, when you have like a cocky race car driver that never, respects life, and then he gets in a car accident, and from that point on, he's like helping children, that was an ego reinvention. Egos do die like the phoenix. When we talk about rising like the phoenix, we're talking about egos. Egos are meant to die, and they're meant to be born again. And they have like 9 lives, at least. And sometimes they become more determined to keep doing wrong, and sometimes they become, less determined. But we're about to go through an ego shift. And so that means that the part of you that makes energy go, that's what ego goes. It's part of you that makes the energy go, like go to the store, get out of here, go get me something to eat. That's all ego. Anytime you go somewhere or do something or move something, that's the ego that does it. And the ego has all sorts of rules, but the primary rule of the ego is survival, all right? I think we've come to a point now where most people, just from science alone, feel like will most likely survive. The assumption is you will most likely survive. My grandma tells me when she was growing up in the Depression, they did not assume that their brothers and sisters would survive. She came from a family of 13 children. So they overproduced in case some of them went. Excuse me. And that's what the thinking was. The thinking in the old days was you may or may not live. Good chance you're going to die at a young age. Good chance. We're over that now. We now have, we realize that if we lose a limb or something happens to our body, there's a fair chance that everything will be okay, or at least somewhat back to normal. So without this threat of real death in the ego is now losing its position inside of us. It no longer has a job to do. And so it must now evolve. Now we'll talk about that in Aries when it really happens. But what we're doing this month with the Sun in Pisces is we are ultimately spiritually letting go of those old desires inside of us So every time you insisted on being strong, it's because you were hiding or holding on to a karmic pattern where you failed once upon a time, or you're judging yourself for having had failed. Most of the time people are overly strong. They're compensating and overcompensating for things that they aren't looking at. So, even the way we get strong, right, is going to change. The way we go to the gym is going to change. The way we, attractions change. I mean, now when it comes to dating, right, people want to look their best, but you only have to be from the waist up. If you're on a webcam, like you only have to, you don't have to be your best to go meet that person. So ego isn't even involved in the chase anymore, right? So the ego is looking for work. And I feel, and my team agrees, that it's going to be the we go. From the me-go to the we go. For one, I think because we're finally done with our own stuff. And so we're interested in, others besides us. Like, we're finally getting bored with ourselves. We're finally knowing enough and having known enough and want to know about others. So to some degree, it's a curiosity for others because we've done that, been there, done that when it comes to us, which is refreshing, right? It's been all about us the whole time. But the other issue is that we're heading towards oneness, and oneness is actually plurality. So it's kind of paradoxical. The idea that we are one is the awareness that we are all separate and one. It's not that we lose ourself, it's that we have ourself and we have the other. A paradoxical of we. So the pronoun we, I think, will be the new pronouns of the upcoming century because it's all about me and. Some people will be like, I see my context in the universe, I see my role, and you do your thing, and I'll do my thing, and we'll work together when we can. Some people are going to say, oh, no, it's us versus them. That's the we. We're sick of them. And they'll sort of make that other person someone they hate. The duality will be like obsessing on someone that they hate or, using negativity to propel their life forward. But then also for the light workers and people who've been sacrificing themselves since, the Inquisition, you might for the first time use the word we because you're including yourself now. Now you're including yourself. You said not, now you do. So I believe that we're creating a new ego called the we-go. And this we-go is all about the we, and that we is always changing. As far as it could be we in this group, and we in that other group, and we the people, and we this family, we the Witeckis, we Serious Joy, right? Many groups of we, and I think that that's the beginning of humanity coming together. It'll cluster in small parts, like Serious Joy, and other people, and eventually we'll start to merge into other groups, working with groups that work with us, then those merge into other groups, and so I see humanity as growing together from that I to we, and then from we to see that we are all as one. Now, it's important to note that we wrap up Aquarius, and then the sun goes into Pisces. When the sun goes into Pisces, the earth is in Virgo. So the sun in Pisces is our heart focusing on our spiritual story, the essence of us, the part of us that is behind the narrative, that has the knowledge and the trouble and the hang-ups that need to be cleared. I think that the sun in Pisces this year is the acknowledgement that we're cleared. And I also think that it's a shift in another way in the sense of the population, at least the United States, I think will unanimously say the same thing. We're not the problem, you're the problem. And when I say you're, I think I'm pointing towards the government, corporate business, things like that. So you're going to see this shift now in this Pisces that people are actually looking at life more realistically because they're no longer judging themselves and then projecting that judgment onto others. Sure, people are still doing that, but for those who are on the cutting edge of human development, I think you're going to find that you find a very zen place inside of yourself to not care. So our heart is onboarding a new story about our spirit. That our spirit has had the adventure of being broken down. Our soul has had the adventure of being in jail or having the blues or being bipolar or married to a narcissist. That's all done now, and now our heart wants to explore new things. And so that's really what this first week is about. Is about letting go, launching the Aquarius vibration. So setting yourself to a rhythm that you're going to keep to, and then once the sun's in Pisces, saying, okay, well, where does that leave me with myself? Where does that leave me in the world and the context of the world? With the Earth in Virgo, the other side, it means that we're going to manifest a new meality. Now, notice I didn't say reality, because when it comes to reality, we have been at the lowest form. I think, from what I can tell. We're a little behind as a planet. We're not ready for, utopia. We're really just at the reality part where we're realizing that everyone has an effect on our ability to create and manifest. But it does mean that life is going to change rather profoundly from this point on all the way to Unite the Light, which, by the way, is at May 17th and 18th in Nashville. Let's take a look at the actual planet, shall we? Start with the sun. May we? Or maybe not. All right, there we go. Nothing surprises me anymore. So the sun, I'm back in puberty. The sun actually goes from step 27 Aquarius, which is Adam's birthday, happy birthday Adam, to step 3 Pisces. And 27 is go, 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 go. It's the big mission. So the mission starts tomorrow. The rhythm starts tomorrow. You start the rhythm of life, the new rhythm of ascension. That means you just, you find that vibe, whatever that is, and you just keep vibing like that, all right? And that vibe should return the rest of you always into a vibe. So it's kind of like, 27 is kind of like the cosmic DJ. It's like setting the tone, with the cosmic, conductor, that's like setting, the beats. And that energy, is either speeding up or slowing down, but it's always a boogie, right? Sunday we go to step 28. Monday we go to step 29. So Monday's going to be a bitch, just so you know. There'll be a lot of challenges and just hiccups in the giddy up. And then we plunge into Pisces on Tuesday, 0 degrees Pisces, and where we hold space now for a new spiritual story inside of us. And we go from 0, 1, 2, 3 in Pisces until the end. 4 will be next Saturday, a week from Saturday. And what that basically is us spiritually coming to terms with we've either done nothing to change ourselves, and so therefore we're stuck on this ride for one more round, or we have in fact feel like we changed ourselves, and we don't feel like there's anything else yet to be attended to, on a big level. I mean, certainly you learn the rest of your life, but it wasn't like your childhood damage and things like that. So, this is a huge transition week, basically, and you're going to feel it. Now, Pluto is at 2 degrees Aquarius all week, and what that means is that you must maintain a certain vibe inside of you. There has to be a part of you that cannot be affected, ever, okay? And that's what you're learning. You're learning that, nothing can get to the core. And that's what 2 is. 2 is the terrible twos. It's the toddler in you. So step 2 is the toddler. Step 3 is, when we're in, I believe that's what little 3-year-olds are doing, asking questions. Why? The constant whys out of a 3-year-old, right? You can see how they go along with the steps. But Pluto 2 says we have to comfort that inner child. We have to comfort the baby inside of us. Because part of the reason why the baby is so sensitive is because you weren't paying attention. You were paying attention to the world and other things, but you weren't paying directly attention to her or him. And so without direct attention, kids feel neglected, they feel lost, they feel worthless. And so inside of you, maybe your parents did or didn't do that, but you probably slipped into that in these last 10, 20 years, where you let your insides just rot and you didn't do anything about it. You just let yourself feel bad for day after day. Didn't see a therapist, didn't do this, didn't do that. So as a result, you end up sort of feeling shifty. But here's the thing. We're in the high degrees of the Aquarius, 27, 20, 29. That two has to be neutral and clean. So you have to come to the table. If you want to do some real spiritual work and ascension, you have to come to the table with a neutral 2. You can't come in, don't enter into a scene feeling bad about anything. Excuse yourself from your boss. Excuse yourself from your professor, and do what it takes to feel good, because you're really going to just waste your time if you allow yourself to get into any emotional flux, especially one that just doesn't matter anymore and is clearly here because you haven't healed. And that's what a lot of things happen. People get on trains, people get on places, they haven't healed, and so they're feeling like all kind of flux, and they end up throwing off other people, and they just haven't done their work. And then we allow ourselves to be thrown off. So this week, it's vitally important that you don't allow that to happen. All right, enough said on that. Cancer, Mars and Cancer. Mars is slowed down to a stationary degree of step 17 Cancer. It is still retrograde. That means the ego doesn't know what to do. But 17 is a commitment to an emotional care plan. So our ego is ready to emotionally commit to babying us on a certain level. That babying may mean that you have certain devices in your house that make your life easier. Basically, anything that makes you feel bad, get rid of it. Make it feel good. There's no excuse for feeling bad day after day. If you're in a relationship and you feel bad day after day, if you're in a job and you feel bad day after day, you're really being cruel to yourself by making yourself go through it. And your mind might say, oh, we have to. Shut up, smart ass, who asked you? The mind doesn't know shit. Like, it only knows what it's told. So we're at a point now where it's time to, change the way we respond to ourselves. So I'm not going to put myself down, or I'm not going to play the bad guy, or play the soul saver. We play these different games to avoid the feelings that are coming up. And so Mars is saying, don't avoid the feelings. First of all, choose to not be in that space in the first place. And secondly, all your Martian, your ego, should be to take care of the king, or take care of the queen, that royal side inside of you, or your star, the Sirius star, the bright star that you really are. All right, Gemini. In Gemini, Jupiter is retrograde, actually no, directed 11, and it's actually 11 for the entire month of Aquarius. It will finally move to Grandmaster 12 when we dip into Pisces. It does mean that our mind is like sort of being harassed by the universe anytime it's out of its lane. So you'll find that like with Jupiter 11, everyone on the planet is being empowered to be in integrity. That means everyone is spell checking everything. Everyone's looking for mistakes. I mean, the young ones are looking for mistakes in others. The wiser ones are looking for mistakes in themselves. But everyone's looking for mistakes, big time, with Jupiter 11. And that's been the step number for the entire transit. This mental worry of, am I doing it right? Did I screw something up? Am I making a mistake? But if you do find yourself falling into that trap, the secret formula is, I love myself, and I love myself some more. You just get that mind on the path of self-love is what you do. All right, looking at the moon schedule. The moon schedule today, right. I'm sorry, internal notes. The moon schedule starts with Virgo. So the moon's in Virgo right now, and for me that's triggering because it's just hyper aware of all the details and all the things not going right. It's like it's an 11 energy. Virgo rules 11. But we will shift into Libra here in this next 24 hours, which means we're going to go to a rebalancing of ourselves. So as we sort of, launch the new rhythm of our future, the new frequency of our future, we will at the same time be focusing with our moon on staying in balance. So just stay in balance through the weekend and keep yourself grounded and keep yourself open to exchange ideas and to take ideas in. If someone comes to you and says, you know what's wrong with you? Okay. I mean, that's what I love to hear, especially from a fan. You know what's wrong with you? No, please tell me. No ego likes that. But here's the thing. We're doing our final touches now of our transformation. And if you would have gotten it by now, you would have gotten it. All right? So I would listen to everything that comes to you because people attract those answers they seek. And sometimes they attract it in a form that is rude or uncomplimentary or, shifty. Okay. And so as a result, we attract this and it throws us off. So it's time to just stay calm through the weekend as you're going through the final test and do your best. You will not be graded on it, but you will feel maybe a little less stable with the moon in Libra. Then Monday night, the moon's in Libra. Then we go into Scorpio. And Scorpio means we're going to draw some boundaries. So you're going to really start to draw the emotional lines between the past and the present, the present, and start to feel the difference between that was the old me, this is the new me, that was my old relationship with my wife, this is my new relationship with my wife. You're going to realize that everything needs to be given the credit it deserves and applying the knowledge that it brought. So, God, I had some this weekend. I lived probably 3 times I got kind of messed with. And just people playing cons on me, like normal, average people that don't know who I am. And I was just like, man, I still fall for that shit with my good nature. So I think that's kind of what this is. We're realizing that there's still some open windows and, things flapping in the wind from those ages that we went through horrible times. And we still, although because the sky is not falling and the ship's not sinking, we're missing holes in our consciousness. We're missing places where we should be protecting ourselves and we're not. So it's not a blame game, but it is true. Pisces. In the Pisces situation, Pisces has, first of all, the sun moves into Pisces. Look at that right there. Look at that party in the sky. We have Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, and the North Node. This is the first time we have the North Node in this space since 2006. So go back to that. I was starting Soul Garden for the first time, my first brand. So here I am rebranding Serious Joy. So it's funny how things happen in waves. The North Node is at step 27, Pisces. So basically, this is the moving forward with the mission. So God was saying, hey, by all costs, by all means, the mission now must go forward, period. It's time to make it happen. And that's based on what you feel, step 2, and what you sense, step 7. You feel and sense it, do it. If you don't feel and sense it, don't do it. You know, there's been a few times this week, too, I'll just keep sharing that I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was the right thing. Like, what's right here? I don't know what's right. Things just got complicated, you know, with the fact that maybe I'm taking care of somebody, they rely on me, but maybe they cross a boundary. And so it's like, where do I draw the line? Do I make it a big deal or not? Do I count on them like finally learning one day in life, or do I say something? And I just kept going with the feel sense. Do I feel and sense? What do I feel and sense? In some cases, I felt and sensed that I need to speak up and tell them this is not cool. In other cases, I felt and sensed that I was just being aggressive. So listen to that part of you. Saturn is at step 19 this week, and actually it goes to step 20, so that's an error, but that's a big deal. Saturn finally gets to step 20 this week, and that means that our control now goes to the national level and international level, and that's where we'll be focusing on. So that means that you're going to start planning and trying to take over your future. You're not going to be so obsessed with the present working out. So we really feel like a present-future tense shift with Saturn this week. Mercury goes from 1 to 13, Pisces, so your mind is going to be picking up a lot of things that it knows it shouldn't say. And so there'll be a lot of exposure. People are going to like vomit through their mouth. They're going to say stuff, they're going to admit to stuff, and they're like, you know, totally out themselves. They thought they got away with it for 20 years, and then Mercury goes, you know, into Pisces at this time, and bleh, your mind just lets it all go, whatever it is. So I'm expecting a lot of, you know, oral diarrhea coming out of people. And I also expect that to be destined. You know, if someone says something and it triggers you, focus on the trigger. Don't focus on the person, because that trigger is what we have to get rid of. And Neptune's way up at step 28, which means that, you know, our psychic awareness is basically manifesting this new era. So you can see the entire era under construction there in Pisces. Now, the South Node, of course, is in Virgo. I mentioned this already, but 27 is the wrecking ball. I don't know if we have the South Node graphic, do we? That'd be a no. But South Node is like this upside down, whoop, and it's in Virgo at 27. And 27 is the wrecking ball. So, you know, if you refuse to grow, the greatest gift God will give you is tear down what you're doing. So if things get torn down, it's a gift. You should be grateful and don't try to save it. So do not try to save things that are collapsing. If they're not strong enough right now, that was a test. They would have fallen later anyways. Uranus in Taurus is at step 23. So this week we were innovating our plans for manifesting the future and getting forward with that. The Taurus vibration itself is coming out of its own coma. So you'll find you're more productive and everyone's going to start to make more money now. And we're kind of out of that dark cloud, if you will. And then, of course, you know, our final planets, we have Libra and Aries. Let's do Libra first. With Libra, we have Black Moon Lilith this week. Now, here's what's interesting. She's such a little stickler. It's like, you'll be facing fears this week that your relationship commitments have ulterior motives, all right? And you have to be really careful because they may have ulterior motives, all right? And that's something that finally needs to be addressed. So fear is false evidence appearing real, but it may actually still be pointing to something that's a problem. You know, if you fear going in that dark cave, it's not because you have Black Moon Lilith issues. It's your soul's telling you, don't go in that cave, right? Like you don't belong there. So it's tricky at these high degrees because you are going to process, you know, the times that people screwed you over. And the trick is to not project that fear onto current relationships that are working fine. So, you know, you're going to be prone to blame others unfairly this week as you face fears of commitment. So, you know, men or women, whoever's dragging you to the altar and you're kicking and screaming saying no, why? Why is that? You know, like there's something deeper than just what it seems, you know. And I think we're becoming aware of that with Black Moon Lilith in these 2 degrees. On the Aries side of the spectrum, Venus has entered into Aries. And this is another reason why life is kind of dull right now, because Venus is sort of forced to dress like a man in Aries and pushed around a bit and less freedom, less ability to move around the cabin. So it's the detriment of Venus. She's sort of like tired and not happy. And what it means is that we're looking at our ability to open up to changing our behavior. So with Venus going in the spectrum of 6 to 9, that's basically you opening up to the idea of maybe I can change. You probably heard that old, you know, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, in this space, Venus is like, yes, you can, and we're going to right now. So, if you find yourself resisting to yourself, you're going to have big problems in the world, right? If you can't get along with yourself, you're going to have big problems in the world. You're going to manifest examples of that inability to get along with yourself. And Venus is coming into this space, Aries space, which is the Mars space, coming into Mars's house before Mars gets home from dinner and starting to tidy up things and allow things to be more comfortable in that space. What that means specifically for you is, in the part of you that wants to be strong and not ask for help, the part of you that will not sit down and take care of yourself, and it's very clear that person is fine. The person that is obsessing on the next one, I got to find the next person I can help and the next person I can help. This is an abuse of your ego. You are, abusing it for entertainment purposes for the most part, but the truth of the matter is everyone, I think, knows better. All right, so I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Well, it's time to sip yourself some tea. When we come back, we're going to have our soul horoscopes, and I think we'll have our zodiac weather. Yeah, okay, we will. Keep streaming. See you right back. We'll see you in a minute. Today's zodiac weather covers from Saturday, February 15th to Friday, February 21st, 2025. Looking first at the weekend forecast. Over the weekend, you are activating and captivating your frequency for the future and trying to manifest it into a cohesive. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and energizing. Step 27 indicates that Mars retrograde rules the day. It's time to put into motion your frequencies and make it a rhythm. You belong assimilating on this day, and you're emotionally purifying the relationship with yourself. This can be felt with the moon starting in Virgo and being tested, and then shifting into Pisces and Libra, testing your confidence in yourself. On Sunday, it's cloudy, but you are observing. Step 28 indicates the Earth rules the day. You'll realize that you belong metaspiritual. That is, integrating the new spiritual timeline into your ascension process. And with the moon in Libra, you'll be feeling things with your relationships, balance, harmony, and going back and forth. Stepping back and taking a look at the 5-day weekday forecast, over the course of the next week, we have a final test in Aquarius, and then we dip into Pisces where your ghosts may come up to the surface. On Monday, it's cloudy and feeling wonky. Step 29 means that Chiron rules the day. Wounded healer consciousness comes forth to test you on anything you learned about frequency and rhythm over the last 30 days. You recognize that you belong preserving this frequency and erasing worst-case scenarios from your consciousness. The Sun squares Juno at 29 also, which means that you might be challenged in relationships and maintaining boundaries. And the moon will shift from calm Libra to cold-hearted Scorpio, giving you a nice shield to protect yourself. On Tuesday, it's cloudy and galactic. Step 0 means that Pluto rules the day. Adding more Pluto energy, the moon is in Scorpio, making you feel like a fortress. This also opens up consciousness to the other side. The veil is thin. You are sensing literally everything going on in your universe, and you're identifying your first spiritual goal for the season. And with the Scorpio moon and a 0-degree sun, anything can cross over from the other side. On Wednesday, it's sunny and weird. Step 1 means the sun rules the day. It is time to love yourself and love yourself some more. You sense that love is, and that love is all that is. I love, therefore I am, is the statement of the day. And Juno moves into Sagittarius means your relationship potential moves into the philosophical. On Thursday, it's cloudy and witnessing. Step 2 indicates that the moon rules the day, and the moon will be both in Scorpio and Sagittarius on this day. You are sensing transcendence now, and the unreal has been realized. And wrapping up the day, Mercury squares Jupiter, which means the mind might get in an argument with your philosophies. And then on Friday, it's sunny and thrilling. Step 3 indicates that Jupiter rules the day. The energy is doubled by the fact that the moon is in Sagittarius. The energy is doubled with the moon in Sagittarius, a Jupiter-ruled archetype. What you are sensing is that you actually know, and you are activating the new plot that will move forward. As you go to bed, you'll feel something brewing, because in the next day, it's Breakdown Breakthrough with Step 4.
Having a hard time with love lasting long enough? How often is your first date your last date? Have you noticed that your relationships last no more than 2 days? They say love never lasts, but in your case, it doesn't even start. Your birthday is a secret soul security number. We know everything about you, how you love, how you lust, and how you like to be lusted by. In one video, you'll understand what you're looking for in love and what you offer. Secrets of Birthday is now available at Secrets of...
Hello, welcome back. This is the portion of the show that we call Soul Horoscopes. We're going to be going through some transformations at Sirius Joy. We're launching a new brand called Sirius Joy TV, where we're going to be doing some cool television that's enlightened television. Nothing like you've seen before, but at the same time, like you've seen before. Only bringing the light into the formula, you know? And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to transform this show into a new product. It's going to contain elements of the old show, but it's going to be very new. I'm super excited because this is my 19th year, step 19 of being on YouTube and reporting on the planets. I started with the last time the North Node was in Pisces. So it's kind of crazy how that shift happens. So we're going to talk for all 12 signs today. If you don't know, I do these soul horoscopes. I'm committed to them. It's one of those things that I know I'll be doing to the day I die. I joke I'll be doing a soul horoscope when I pass out. And this is me breaking down for all 12 signs on how the 12 states of awareness are actually evolving. And consciousness is evolving. It's evolving. And Aries today is not an Aries yesterday. It's not an Aries in the age of Aries. It's not a static thing at all. It's always transforming. And this mixing bowl of the planets is showing us exactly the formulas and the ingredients that God is mixing in. And for you, it means that you're being pushed to grow. You're being encouraged to change. And you're being shown the truth in many cases. So in this week's episode of Soul Horoscopes, for all 12 signs, I'm going to talk about these 4 things. 1, there's some noise out there. The social where you will be with the end of Aquarius at 29. Aquarius is 29. That's on Monday. You're going to be tested on something in your life. And this is you being tested to be able to, a good way to think of it is imagine if you were singing a song and suddenly the whole place that was listening starts breaking out in their own song. And so you suddenly have 2 songs playing. And the test is to keep playing your song and not get distracted. So you're going to be called to play your tune regardless of the outside noise. And everyone's doing it the same day at the same time. And this is only a test. It will not go on your final grade, but it does show and reveal to you how good or not good you are at holding that tone. And this is the wrap-up of the sun in Aquarius. Then I'll talk about what the sun in Pisces mean. What does the next part of the week mean? What's this next part of what we're doing mean for you? And what you're going to be exploring now. The sun in Pisces is going to be a spiritual look at yourself. And a spiritual look at yourself is the essence, the things that are behind things. So a good example of this is if a spirit is dealing with addiction, for instance, that spirit will explore, first in cigarettes, then maybe with people, then maybe with sex, then maybe alcohol. The addiction moves. It's not the addiction moves, it's that it was always in the spirit. It was always in the essence of the soul. And so it's expressing itself in all these different ways, much like a weed will grow all over your yard, but come from the same root structure. So we'll talk about, where you're looking at yourself. And the key phrase is it's okay to just be compassionate, not hold on to stuff, and for God, by God, do not judge yourself. And then I want to talk about Venus. Venus is slowing down to a retrograde, y'all. I know, we just had Mars retrograde, and now Divine Feminine's going down. So it's a wonky start of the year, but it's because God Universe has to take these energies down, reformat them, and put them back online. And so I'll be talking about where you are slowing down in your pace, where you are opening up to maybe a change, but you're not quite sure yet, as Venus slows down, slowing in her retrograde, which is in Aries, all right? Okay. And as always, I'll drink some water here between this because we're in the desert of Palm Springs, which I love. All right. Sponsored by, all right. Aries, you're going to be tested this week on your social ambition. There might be something that tells you, oh, you can't do it. It's never been done before. You can't afford it. Don't take no for an answer, okay? If your heart wants it, if you feel like you're capable of it. The one thing that may be off is your timing. I know for sure you're wanting it too soon. I know you're trying to push it, make it go faster than it can. I know you're pushing everyone around you to move faster. So we know all that, right? But the answer is no. You hold out for what your heart wants. You know where you belong. You're going to have to show us. As always, you're going to have to show us. So I would say, be careful with expecting the world to see in you what you see in you. They're not as obsessed with you as you are. You know what I mean? Like, so they're not going to see it. They don't care to. They're actually learning from you and not giving a shift about others now. So you must be just focused on that social ambition, but you might be redirected to that. There's 2 ways to do it or 3 ways to do it. You don't always have the right way the first time. Now, the sun in Pisces means that you're finally coming to realize that the parts of you that take risk or parts of you that go too far or are too aggressive or burn yourself out were because you were running away from fear. You're running away from fear about yourself and fear around your heart, what it wants, and fear around your emotions and what they're harboring, fear around feeling stupid or not knowing enough. So Aries have a lot of subconscious stuff that sabotages them. And so you're going to come to realize what that stuff is and in you in the moment, and you'll probably catch yourself being a jerk underneath the seams, and you'll see, that is where I'm subconsciously being a jerk, right? One thing about Jupiter for you is that, time to think differently. So as Jupiter moves from out of 11 and starts to move towards 12, just keep those thoughts in integrity. Make sure all thoughts to yourself are loving yourself and loving yourself some more. But then Venus is going to be in your sign. So I think you're going to feel much more calm with Venus in your sign. I think you're going to kind of want to make over, maybe want to look more pretty, or polish some things out, or get a new wardrobe, or get new clothes, or even maybe get a new sports car. Always new. You guys love new, but Venus is going to slow here because I wait to actually finance that car, because by the time Venus is done in her retrograde, you may not want it anymore. You might be getting rid of the part of you that was impulsive to show off in order to cover up those issues. And so Venus is going to reveal to you, you always want a new car when you feel bad about yourself, that sort of thing. So I would be slow to roll on those issues. All right, moving on. Taurus, you are, holy shit, this is so true too. I love it. My own horoscope is so true. You're being tested on leadership and legacy. Like, what will my legacy be? How will I respond to these things? I'm real proud of myself of taking my leadership to the next level, but I have to say it was harder than I thought it would be, as we climb up that ladder. But Tauruses are, having to take the high road, take the load less traveled. The truth of the matter is that when you're a leader, no one understands you because you're a leader. That's the way it is. If you're out in front of the pack, no one will understand. So you have to be willing to deal with that. Just like if you go out in outer space, you got to pee in your spacesuit. It's just something you got to do, right? There's some things you just got to do because you chose to do them. So I think that Tauruses are learning how to, be there for themselves, be their own best friend, and to recognize that it'll be a long time before people really understand why you made that choice. And even if it's the wrong choice, it'll be a long time before they understand why you made the wrong choice. Now, it is time for Tauruses to go make their mark in the world. Tauruses will be building the new era. So it'll be Taurus restaurants, it'll be Taurus, theme parks, it'll be Taurus businesses. Tauruses are going to build the new economy. And they're going to build the new world socially, too. And Tauruses are all about value, and they're all about ethics. So, try tipping us. It's not easy. We're heavy. So you're probably going to have to face this week silly insecurities you have about you not being enough, or who are you to say you have the answer, or who are you to raise your hand in class. Kind of getting over those little silly things that really are you afraid of being accepted, and you forget once you build your theme park, you're accepted. People love what you do. So you're getting over those fears and apprehension about being your authentic self. It's like, it's time to be your authentic self. Take it or leave it. This is what you're offering. Now, Jupiter as in the second, it's funny because Jupiter in the second means you're supposed to be making a lot of money, but I've been just laying down pipe for that. So just stay in integrity about what you owe yourself. Stay in integrity about, bills due right now. Don't get way ahead and trying to be super rich right now, but also don't let your business fall behind, okay? So staying in integrity, keeping on the rails when it comes to money. And then, of course, as we go forward, Taurus, with Venus slowing down in Aries, you're going to change how you have faith in yourself with this Venus retrograde. So you used to have faith probably used to have faith in yourself based on not screwing things up. So if you didn't screw it up, you had faith. If you did screw it up, you didn't. But it's time for a higher definition of that. And so I think you're going to get closer to spirit, and I think you're going to start to open up to what your intuition is telling you in the moment, the play-by-play of the day. All right. Geminis, you are now focusing on Wrapping up life purpose. So I still don't think you know what you're here to do, but I think if you might have a theory that gets challenged. So, stand up for that theory. Stand up for that it's okay that it's a theory. Everything's a theory. Even when people go, I know, it's a theory until you prove it, right? Like it's a theory. So nobody has the answer from the beginning. We all, we don't fake it. We just don't think in those terms. We're just thinking, I think it's the answer, so I'm going this way. So I think you'll be tested on purpose, education, self-mastery, who are you to be a Jedi, that kind of thing. That's where the tests will come. And ultimately, it has to do with the vibe. If you think you fit in, you do. It's that simple. So I know a lot of people who never went to film school, never, did all the stuff I did to try to get into TV, and they just step right in, they get hired, and they do it. They skip in line, just boom, because they thought that they could. When the sun goes into Pisces, though, you're going to be shifting from, concern about your purpose to now concern about, career. And career is where you always have had a lot of mistakes. It's not because you suck at it. It's because the part of you that sucks comes up during that part. So, you're now over that. You're now past the career karma. So bosses, mistreatment, poor wages, whatever your karma is, I think you have faced that when it comes to career. And the real trick is to have confidence in the choices you make for yourself. You have to make choices for yourself that may be unpopular with people at work, maybe unpopular with your, it's the customers you serve. But if you sense this is the right way, this is the right way. Now, Jupiter in the first, you are developing a new personality that you're going to make over until your birthday. So that's under construction right now. And when it comes to Aries, you're opening up to a new place in the world. You probably feel like you don't fit in. It's because you didn't. Okay, I think you forced yourself into places that gained and garnished respect and authority, but your heart didn't want it. It was just a good idea. And so you're opening up now to what your heart really longs for as far as the role you play in society versus what your mom told you to do when you go to church, right? Water hoe down. Cancers! Woo-wee. Now, Cancers are really trying to change their life. I got to give them credit. I've talked to a lot of Cancers on set and on some shoots I've been on and things like that, and they're all reporting in that life is different. They're really surprised, and so are we. Those of us who've been relatives to Cancers. But you don't know how this is going to turn out. And so, you might have a moment of fear and doubt and reluctance sometime around, this week in the wrap-up of Aquarius, because you're nervous about being able to go through it all and go through it, the change. But the truth is like most of you have dated like impossible partnerships that put you through the hell in every which way. You can go through a transformation if you can support that person in their addiction or that person in their violence. You can certainly support you doing a wardrobe change. Now, when the sun goes into Pisces, there's going to be a renewal of Cancer's belief in themselves. And this is sort of like, I don't know, Spirit keeps showing me divorce. So Spirit's showing me divorce, and then 6 to 8 weeks in, you remember just how cool you are. You remember that you dumbed yourself down for that person or held yourself back. And so I think Cancer's got a lot of really good discovery to happen that will happen right now in this transit for them. And then going from there, the Jupiter in the 12th is going to help you build greater faith, and you're going to have better thoughts about your faith. And then, of course, at the very top of this, when we have Venus slowing down in Aries, it means you're now going to start to open up to different decisions for yourself. For instance, Cancers have always told themselves, well, I'm here to help others. I hear that all the time from Cancers. I'm here to help others. Well, why did you decide that? Are you? Maybe it is. Maybe it's time to help yourself too. That doesn't last a whole lifetime, a slogan like that. So I think you're going to start to realize you force decisions down your own throat that your heart may not really be into. All right. One of my faves. Leos, you're going to be tested in partnership and marriage. Oh, God, is that true? Says my Leo rising. I've been so challenged in partnership and marriage because you're changing your entire vibe when it comes to how you vibe in relationships. So and a lot of times I'm finding myself defending something I've already done. I've already made that change, and the person's accusing me of it. I'm like, I've made that change. So I'm defending something I've already addressed, So those are the kind of challenges I'm getting. But It can be anything, frankly, but the core root of it is it came up. The marriage issue came up because you did not love yourself first. You insisted on having someone endorse you first, or you sucked off their energy. But I think most Leos who are in shitty relationships are there because they were unwilling to be their own fan. They didn't want to be their own fan, and so as a result, they couldn't pump themselves up. Jupiter in the 11th says that you're going to start to develop quite a new vocabulary for society. You're going to begin to start to channel some ideas you've been holding on to for a long time. So it looks like you're going to have a lot of fun in society and expanding the world and seeing the world expand under your presence. That's going to be really exciting. And then, but then lastly, when Venus slows down in Aries, it means that you're going to maybe slow roll your purpose. Like you were just so sure you were here for this, this, and this. And you're just so sure that you believe this about you and you believe that about you. But you're going to realize those beliefs, they're probably because I was wounded or because I was going through stuff. So a lot of the things that we've done to define ourselves are no longer correct because that was based on the pain. Once you come out of the pain and into the power of light, there's less blame on the self and there's less things to blame when you're just having a bad day and feeling bad. So ultimately, I think Leos are going to be finding a revised purpose. And I think they're going to be transforming marriages in lots of ways to really cool examples. Throw it here. Virgo. Virgo, you're going to be tested on your lifestyle and your performance. So Virgos are creating the new workday, all right? And you, because you want everything, Virgo, everything twice sometimes, you overorder, and so you push reality into a crazy, off balance because you just want too much too soon. I'm not afraid to tell it. That's what it is. You want too much too soon. It takes a little more time and space, said the Taurus. We may look like we're moving slowly, but we're always moving. We have to take these long breaks and things like that. So Virgos will be tested on their lifestyle, tested on their performance, maybe tested on your knowledge of being a healer because, that high Virgo is a healer, which means that, you'll have moments of doubt, but then you'll either get behind yourself or you won't, and you'll see what happens when you do or don't. So the universe will show you how that works. The Sun in Pisces says, you're now going to be looking at yourself and how you treat yourself. So you're going to find the final karmic weeds of self-treatment coming up, right? Where you are not passionate to yourself or not compassionate to yourself or, not easygoing enough for yourself to work it out. You're too harsh in most cases. And you've gotten a lot better. I tell you, I got a lot of Pisces friends, Virgo friends, but you're still not there to say that. I called a couple friends on it 1,000 times. Jupiter in the 10th means it's career time, baby. So get moving, get cracking. You got a lot of great stuff coming up, and it's just going to fall in your lap. And then, of course, the slowdown of Venus in Aries, your libido may go out the window. So Venus in the 8th house retrograde is pretty much as boring as it gets when it comes to sexual attraction. If you find yourself falling in love with sexual attraction with a partner, don't trust it just yet because you're really being shown past stories of when you fell out of attraction, and you don't know if you're picking up on the past life story or this one. Sometimes we get confused in those two options, let me tell you. All right, and then lastly, I think we already talked about it, but you're opening up now to transforming your whole life on a new level. So you're going to really have to slow down and be open to new ways of trusting yourself. It can't be for the same data, the same reasons, the same things it was in the past. You have to literally give God and the universe 10 different ways to prove to you it's going to be okay. All right. Libras, the peace artists. Libras, you are going to be tested on personal dreams. So God and the universe is saying it's time for Libras to go live like a Leo. It's time for you guys to go have fun. Time for you to quit worrying about the whole world and go have fun. And Libra's like, what do I do? I need someone to hold on to. No, hold on to yourself, right? Hold on yourself in the ride. So you ultimately may be tested on whether or not you can have it, or should give yourself the gift, or give yourself the break, or let the inner child in you take over. So you're sort of like, I always see like the Statue of Liberty. It's almost like the kids are pulling on your feet, and you're feeling like, this is stupid. I want to just leave this job, but you can't because you're obligated to be that Statue of Liberty. Not anymore. You're getting a new job. You're doing new things in life. And it's, you'll be tested on personal dreams, but just learn from it, because next year the sun will be in Aquarius and Pluto will be in Aquarius. Like, for many years, you're going to be working on this personal dream stuff. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, the other aspect about this is when the sun goes into Pisces, it's now time for you to live a life of peace. You're supposed to be walking around the earth with, like, birds landing on you and, and feeling the Holy Spirit. You're here to channel the Holy Spirit in the moment, having Pisces in the 6th house. So any kind of thing in the moment that drags you down has got to go. So if you're thinking about, your medical tests over and over and over again, and it's dragging you down, stop thinking about it. You got to let it go. You have no control over that. If you don't have control over it, let it go, okay? Control meaning the keys, the right, probably someone handing it down, someone mentoring you in the position. So right control is not what you often assume, in my opinion, looking at you. But you are stepping into this more holy, compassionate, spiritual lifestyle, and start building that for yourself. Now, Jupiter for you is in the 9th, so you're doing a lot of learning this year. Keep your mind open for that regard. And Venus will settle in the house of marriage and partnership, where she'll retrograde for you. So that means you're going to be opening up to a whole new approach to relationships at large. And that's pretty intense for y'all if the sign that rules relationships is reconsidering the definition of relationships. Because when the grandmasters go, this is what it is now, everyone's going to follow subconsciously or consciously to this new model. That's how science can rule it for all other people. But it is now time to slow down. Don't try to get in a relationship. Don't try to push it farther. You're on a timeout, basically, with relationships. And I'll try to get the date to you later, because I don't have it handy. All right, moving on. Scorpios, you're going to be tested on home, family, and foundation. A lot of the reason why you can be so bitchy is because you're hurt. Childhood was not warm enough for you, wasn't nurturing enough for you, and so it was kind of detached and cold. And the thing is that now that you've been hurting for 20 years or 30 years, now your family's interested. Now they want to spend time with you. What the F, man? Well, it's because the lessons are tied. You're learning how to take care of yourself, period. You can take care of yourself. Not that we can't use other people, but, or take advantage of what they offer is a better way to put it. But seriously, you're here for yourself and only yourself. And I didn't have the time to start looking around for that stuff. Now, the sun then goes after yourself into the house of love. And so Pisces for you is that it's your turn to have true love. It's your turn to have your dreams come true. You've been screwed over on that concept for a long time. And your inner child got bitter. In most cases, I know Scorpios, a lot of bitter inner children, still kind of bitching about everything. You know what I mean? But that's just a spoiled teenager that needs your attention. So, Pisces for you is about making it up to yourself. Because you abandoned yourself to chase after that girl. It wasn't the other way around. You abandoned the other parts of yourself for these other things that were more important, apparently, than that part of yourself. And so only you and you can talk about this one. But you'll hopefully do and realize that both of you love each other or whatever's going on in your life. But it's time for you to go after what your heart wants, period. Now, one thing interesting about this is, as we move forward, the Scorpios, the Jupiter in the 8th house means you're going to change your boundaries. You're going to draw new lines. There's going to be new rules entirely. So, they may, Scorpios always think that you can't change the line, you have to hold the line, and you're weak if you don't hold the line, unless the line moves, and it's about to move. So try moving some lines. And with Venus moving into Aries, it means that you're going to slow down at work, you're going to slow down with your body, you're going to slow down with some of the stuff going on in health, and really start to open up to a new quality of life. You could say quality over quantity. And I think there's money issues tied to that for you, but we won't talk about that tonight. But a lot of the reasons why you work so hard is because you associate that as necessary for money, and that's not true at all. So keep that eye open on that idea. Sagittarius, you're going to be tested on attitude, intellectual property, or a message. So someone's going to come back and they're going to give you some bad reviews, or you'll have some nasty remarks on your Facebook, or something's going to happen with what you have to say and what your attitude is, and you're going to have to hold true and just stand behind what you believe. So I hope it doesn't take a mob for you to learn that, but Sagittarius are so big in their energy, it might, all right? And that's the end of Aquarius. It's like you have the right attitude. It comes down to a vibe. It comes down to a way of thinking. And for you, it sets the tone for all of your evolution. Now, when the sun goes into Pisces, now it'll be time for Pisces. Energy is what you rule for your house. Now it'll be time to actually feel good at home again. In a way, it's the return home. So I think Sagittarius is like, get the hell out of Dodge when they were teenagers. They saw their parents on some weekends and some holidays, but basically would not call themselves a family person. Most of the time when I talk to Sagittarius, most of the time. But you're going to find that that was all from the wounds. That wasn't from the family. And sure, they participate, but not always consciously. So I think you're going to be returning home for Christmas, and you're going to be feeling really good and faithful about what's coming up at home. Jupiter in the 7th means Sagittarius are growing in a big fire way right now when it comes to relationships. You haven't been on the right side of your own self in relationships just yet. You kind of keep sacrificing yourself or over-promising or things like that, going too far, too little, typical Sag. But, now you are ready to look at relationships with a realistic view because you're looking at yourself realistically and looking at others realistically. And then finally, for you, as Venus slows down in the 5th house, it does mean that it's time to open up to new ways of loving yourself or giving yourself the self-love you always deserved but never did. So you might pull some stuff out of the closet and go, look at all these things I bought for myself and never enjoyed. That's a good example. And literally, that means it's time to kind of catch up on joy. So you have a break coming somehow right around the corner. Alrighty. Capricorns! That was loud. Capricorns, you are going to be tested on money. What else is new? But you'll be tested on money. And I don't think it's on money per se. I think it's on your approach. I think it's on your business plan. I think it's on your management team. There's something about money and how it's managed that you are not 100% on, which is why you're going to be tested on it. And, we can't go too deep into it, but Aquarius rules your house of money. So you may have had all the gold in this last era, but you'll probably have all the silicone in this one. That's just who you are. You're set up to be, kings and queens, of abundance here. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just allow yourself to choose by your heart instead of like a good business plan. All right. Now, when the sun goes into Pisces, it's time for Capricorns to be nice on the inside. So you are learning to develop a voice of compassion, and that voice of compassion comes from being compassionate to yourself. So the more times you're nice to you, the more times you'll think of to be nice to whoever is building stuff around for you. So I think it's going to be interesting to see you guys thinking differently because you are harsh in some of your thoughts. I've heard them come at me. It wasn't that you're trying to be mean. It just, damn, that attitude inside you can be really non-compassionate and based on fear. Now, Jupiter in the 6th means your life is going to change. Your lifestyle is growing. You're moving forward now with a new lifestyle. So keep an eye out for that. And then as we go into Venus retrograde, you're going to actually open up and have yet another opinion about your childhood. So it's funny, whenever I talk to Capricorn, they're like, and I finally healed that. I'm totally over it. I'm done. It's gone. I'm done. I'm like, and then surely enough, a year later, like, okay, I still had some stuff in there. Yep, it's the job is never done, Capricorn. So just stay open to that solution because it is coming. I promise you that. All right, we can now last two. Aquarius! Happy birthday, Aquariuses. You're going to be tested on your character, your patience, and anger this week. So something will push you to and tempt you back into the old version of yourself. How you respond to yourself will determine how you can respond to them. So if you're a jerk to yourself, you'll be a jerk to them. If you're nice to yourself, you'll probably be nice to them. Remember, that's where the power really is, the two wavy lines. The inner wavy line of the glyph of Aquarius has got to hold down the fort, all right? Holding down the fort means you take care of yourself no matter what's going on in the world. And from that position, you are strong enough to maybe do something in the world, but not if you don't, right? Now, when the sun goes into Pisces, your self-worth issues come up. And self-worth has been an issue for Aquariuses. There's a lot of rejection to Aquariuses. They don't get the trust they need from others, and then they start to doubt themselves and what they're worthy of. They've got a lot of issues in past lives where they were the weird ones, and so no one wanted to hire them. So they got a lot of karma around money, manifestation, and materialism. And you're going to be having those doubts come up about, can I pay for it? Do I have it in me? Do I have it in the bank? And the answer is yes, you do. In fact, Chris just, got you the definition there. So hang on. Even if it takes our videos coming out tomorrow, hang on. Things will be fine. Now, the Jupiter in the 5th does mean that part of the money issue might be that you're supposed to be following what your heart wants more and less what makes sense. So it's quite possible that you're being tested on, your character and your ability to hold abundance and make money because you don't really chase after what your heart wants. And so your soul knows damn well, it ain't going to happen. You don't chase after what you love, you're not getting paid for that, right? So I think there's a wake-up call there for you to play and have more fun, and that will lead to your truth. And then Venus in Aries says, your attitude inside your mind is changing. Your vocabulary is changing. Your tone is changing. You are now going to be a much more awake and flexible intellectual. We'll see if that happens. But it is happening. I've seen Aquariuses arguing less. And I'll say, that's a good start, Aquarius. That's a good start. And then lastly, the Pisces. Pisces, you are going to be tested on your faith. So we'll check in here. We'll make it in time. We'll so-and-so live through the night. These big tests of faith. So it's going to be the end of this week. Like really having to be in your heart and hold on and hold true to it. And just know vibrationally that why would God let you down now? All the stuff you've gone through, all the things you've gotten away with, and now you're worried about God letting you down? Come on. Sometimes it takes a little bit of logic like that. When the sun goes into Pisces, this is an exciting time because it's a whole new you. I think, you're basically changing your whole expression of how you swim and what you do. So, you might have thought of yourself just as a fish stick, or thought of yourself just as a dipstick, or thought of yourself as a martyr, whatever you did. Like that character you adopted was based on your pain, and not just your pain, but pain you hadn't really remembered for 100 years maybe. So screw it. So who cares if you hear those dark things? It's now time to express yourself for who you are and what your heart really wants to do in this lifetime. So Pisces are going to be, I think, one of the biggest growth points in all 12 zodiacs. We're going to see them just out of nowhere stepping into power. And what's funny is even though you've been out of power this whole time, you stepping into it will probably not be humble. But Pisces, like when they know, that's it. I know better. And that's okay. Just, don't rub it on other people, right? But yeah, you're coming into this great new character and you're getting rid of the things the little thorns in your paw that made you think you were bad, and you're not. Now, Jupiter in the fourth means your definition of what makes you feel good has to expand. It can't just be, a Snickers bar and this. It has to be much broader and has to continually grow. You're not good at nurturing your feelings. You tend to intellectualize it. And so you're going to have to try a lot of things if you're going to go with that approach. And so just be willing to, I'll say this right now. I was touring the new space for Unite the Light's going to be. And I noticed, we had this idea in our mind that it had to be a certain way for everyone to be comfortable. And our director came back with a whole other way of rearranging the furniture. And now I think it's going to be more comfortable. So a lot of times our confusion is our own prejudice based on our childhood. And you can have a comfy home. You can be grounded. You can stay put and be happy. You just haven't had the right materials up until now. And then lastly, Venus in Aries. The credit you give yourself and why is changing. It's time to give yourself credit for different reasons. It's time to accept that you're worthy for different reasons. It's time to, invest in things for different reasons. The reasons you are having confidence in yourself are tired. And they're based basically on the survival times, the fact that you made it through it, you got out of the monastery or whatever. That's what your self-worth is about. And what I feel from Spirit is like, they're going to feel proud and feel worthy from other ways. And so just keep your mind open to what those ways may be and practice. Okay, Pisces? It's not enough to be aware. You have to actually put it into motion. I think that's the one thing y'all need to know. All right. That was all 12 sides. I feel like I was in another dimension the whole time. Hope everyone liked that one. We're going to take a small break, I believe. We better. And when we come back, we're going to talk to another person who talks in these realms of spirituality and who has an opinion of his own about how things may unfold. So keep streaming for a colleague and maybe a new friend right after this. Today's Zodiac weather covers from Saturday, February 15th to Friday, February 21st, 2025. Looking first at the weekend forecast. Over the weekend, you are activating and captivating your frequency for the future and trying to manifest it into a cohesive. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and energizing. Step 27 indicates that Mars retrograde rules the day. It's time to put into motion your frequencies and make it a rhythm. You belong assimilating on this day, and you're emotionally purifying the relationship with yourself. This can be felt with the moon starting in Virgo and being tested, and then shifting into Pisces and Libra, testing your confidence in yourself. On Sunday, it's cloudy, but you are observing. Step 28 indicates the Earth rules the day. You'll realize that you belong metaspiritual. That is, integrating the new spiritual timeline into your ascension process. And with the moon in Libra, you'll be feeling things with your relationships, balance, harmony, and going back and forth. Stepping back and taking a look at the 5-day weekday forecast, over the course of the next week, we have a final test in Aquarius, and then we dip into Pisces where your ghosts may come up to the surface. On Monday, it's cloudy and feeling wonky. Step 29 means that Chiron rules the day. Wounded healer consciousness comes forth to test you on anything you learned about frequency and rhythm over the last 30 days. You recognize that you belong preserving this frequency and erasing worst-case scenarios from your consciousness. The Sun squares Juno at 29 also, which means that you might be challenged in relationships and maintaining boundaries. And the moon will shift from calm Libra to cold-hearted Scorpio, giving you a nice shield to protect yourself. On Tuesday, it's cloudy and galactic. Step 0 means that Pluto rules the day. Adding more Pluto energy, the moon is in Scorpio, making you feel like a fortress. This also opens up consciousness to the other side. The veil is thin. You are sensing literally everything going on in your universe, and you're identifying your first spiritual goal for the season. And with the Scorpio moon and a 0-degree sun, anything can cross over from the other side. On Wednesday, it's sunny and weird. Step 1 means the sun rules the day. It is time to love yourself and love yourself some more. You sense that love is, and that love is all that is. I love, therefore I am, is the statement of the day. And Juno moves into Sagittarius means your relationship potential moves into the philosophical. On Thursday, it's cloudy and witnessing. Step 2 indicates that the moon rules the day, and the moon will be both in Scorpio and Sagittarius on this day. You are sensing transcendence now, and the unreal has been realized. And wrapping up the day, Mercury squares Jupiter, which means the mind might get in an argument with your philosophies. And then on Friday, it's sunny and thrilling. Step 3 indicates that Jupiter rules the day. The energy is doubled by the fact that the moon is in Sagittarius. The energy is doubled with the moon in Sagittarius, a Jupiter-ruled archetype. What you are sensing is that you actually know, and you are activating the new plot that will move forward. As you go to bed, you'll feel something brewing, because in the next day, it's Breakdown Breakthrough with Step 4. Hey everybody, we just wrapped our latest show of LOL Leading Out Loud, streaming live to YouTube. Our topic this week was relationships in the new era. And the question is it all going to polyamorism alone? Polyamorism. Whew, say that 5 times.
Well, we're definitely moving, and I see a lot of people moving out of that whole empathic, narcissistic trend. People are actually finding their true roles that they want to play in their relationship. So it's definitely evolving into.
And what roles are those?
Top and bottom, middle.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the straights.
Right.
Yeah. But you can catch it right now at leadingoutloud.com. We'll see you there. Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the brilliantly bright light workers and innovative influencers of our time. Sean Collyns is a world-renowned psychic, medium, and spiritual teacher from Australia. He first started his work offering one-on-one readings in the back of a crystal shop in Melbourne, Australia. A lot of us started there, Sean. And since then, Sean has hosted internationally events, retreats. He's worked side by side with some of the world's most well-known mediums. Today, he has a waitlist that is thousands of people long and reads for clients from all over the world and the globe, some of which are celebrities and people in powerful positions. Sean's mission is to assist people to awaken their spiritual connection and to help bridge the gap between the physical world and the world of spirit. His teachings are highly acclaimed, and many of his students have gone on to become successful psychics and mediums through the undertaking of his courses, so it can be taught, folks. Sean is known for his talent as a medium, his remarkable knowledge of spirit world and the spiritual arts, and his love for his down-to-earth and lighthearted approach to his work. Please send some waves of love and light and gratitude to welcome our guest, Step 27, Master Libra, Sean Collyns. Ooh. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, Chris. How are you? Hi, everyone watching. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that beautiful introduction.
It's our pleasure. We're just reading what you told us. No, I'm kidding. I'm teasing. It looks like you're somewhere like Tahiti. Where are you live from? That looks cool.
I'm in Bali at the moment.
Oh, wow. How cool. All right. Nice. Tough life, huh? Yeah.
Very hard, very tough.
Yeah. Do you find, I guess, kind of interesting, I mean, being a psychic and an empath, and, your powers are still opening up, I'm sure, because mine just grew like crazy through, my 30s and into my 40s. It just keeps opening up. Are you noticing, the vibes of different places? Like, what is psychically special about Bali?
I love Bali. It's like one of the most sacred places I've ever been. It's just pulls you in, heart-centered, around the trees. I'm obsessed with it here. So somehow I continuously end up back here, but I definitely noticed that. And to answer your question, yes, I 100% agree. We are ever evolving. Never get comfortable with the way you think your abilities or connection works, because next day it may flip on its head and be operating in a completely different way, and you just got to work on your toes, I find.
Yeah. I mean, and you're a Libra. This year might have been harder than most. I mean, the astrology shows you're being forced to give up the way you usually behave. So
definitely.
No, felt that.
Yeah.
So what worked yesterday doesn't work tomorrow.
No. Yeah. I've had a big project that I've been working on, which has meant that I've had to pull back from my entire normal structure, and it's very challenging, very demanding, very confronting, but it's all very, very rewarding stuff at the same time.
Yeah. I totally understand that. Do you feel, I mean, you're a step 27 Libra, and so the step astrology would say that that's a Libra who's on a mission. It's actually a Mars-ruled Libra, so you have the best of both worlds. You're opposite sign Aries. You're kind of like an Aries version of a Libra, so you have the strength of Aries and the intuition and openness of Libra. Do you feel like you're on a mission, and can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, I think I've always felt that way. Like from a young age, I've always felt that I wanted to leave some kind of legacy here that would improve something that I'd be proud of. And my legacy, I've discovered, is to help bridge our world and the spirit world, to try and make that a little bit closer than it is, try and awaken people to their own connection, awaken people to who they truly are and how powerful they truly are. And definitely always felt that. And what you just described, 100% resonate with that.
Well, excellent. Well, you're leading by example. I mean, that's basically a master Libra. So I feel like you'll redefine what Libra means when you're done. We won't look at Libras the same after you.
Well, I do a little bit less procrastination here and there, hopefully.
Share with us how you tick. Like, what does the procrastination really come from? Where does it come from in a Libra?
I would say for me, distraction.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting.
And I know a lot of my medium friends, we all think we've got a little bit of ADHD going on, like constantly stimulated. We're always jumping from one thing to the next. One foot in each world. I think you can't help but be a little bit distracted from time to time.
The old cliche was that you couldn't decide. You can't make your mind. You can't make a decision.
Yeah.
You're saying staring at pretty.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of contemplation, which leads to distraction, which leads to lack of momentum in the way you hope it will happen sometimes. I find.
I resonate with that, because for me, it's a lot of too much work, which then leads with taking too much play, which leads with work getting behind. Like that. That's the vicious cycle for me. Yeah. Being out of balance to begin with. But balance is boring.
Yeah. Who needs it?
It'll correct itself. It always does, right?
Yeah.
What is your, I was talking about relationships recently, because it looks like in the astrology, well, let's put it this way. Librans are, the South Node is in Libra, which means first time in 18 years. So 2005 was the last time that God Universe said, okay, Libras, you got to change your game. You can't do it that way anymore, right? Whatever that game is, right? And that's the game of seduction, the game of approach, it's the ego part of you being told to change. Like you can't play the game like that anymore. And so as a result, I think all of the games of relationships are going to change, because that's what y'all rule. Where do you see relationships changing in the world right now? Do you have a Libra opinion about that?
Personally or globally?
Both. I'd like to know both. Yeah. Now that you offered it, I'll take it all.
Yeah.
So
I think definitely we're at a point in time where people are really confronted with their own beliefs. And that is having a deep impact on relationships and who they're partnered with and who they're compatible with. So I think that has been incredibly noticeable. But for me personally, I'm in a really positive, committed, long-term relationship. But together, we are at a very pivotal time. We are kind of, I would say, going into a completely new territory that we haven't been in before. So definitely a very pivotal time all around from what I've noticed.
I'm seeing that trend. Like the Aquariuses who are perpetual bachelors, I'm seeing they're getting relationships. Like they're holding, they're going against that grain and they're staying in things long term before they wouldn't. I've seen that as one of them exactly.
Right.
The belief structure thing is interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like well, everyone has an opinion. You know, I don't know where it happened, but somewhere I don't know when it happened, but at some point people decided that they knew better. And when I was a kid, they didn't. They were always giving up to God or church or the government or someone knows better than them. They're the dumb one. And suddenly in this space, now everyone has an opinion, and my husband is wrong. So I see that as you think that's that's the mechanism that's actually doing the tearing.
I think so. I think when I look back the last 4 years, it's just been a time where everyone has been having to make their mind up about a lot of things that they've been, put right in front of them. They've been kind of forced into making opinions of their own, when in times before that, it's been much more fluid, I would guess. So I think that in this phase of consciousness that we are in, as we are kind of becoming more aware, as we are taking things to the next level, it's kind of creating one side and another in a sense, which is just the polarity where the learning and the teaching and the evolution can happen a bit more when there is that polarity. I think it's just a natural rhythm that's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely in the sense that, well, we've just been motivated by loss so much. I mean, it's unless there's an emergency, unless there's something about to go over the cliff, we just sat on our butt and did nothing,
Yeah.
So we needed that kick in the pants for sure. And I think you take it as you evolve, you just become like, it becomes less of a thing, So the city's burning down, we'll build another one, you get more positive about it.
It's all temporary. Yeah.
It is. I mean, what is your opinion of the afterlife and whatnot? I mean, you are, I want to know how you got into it, but you are a psychic medium. You talk to the dead. Yes.
Yeah. That's my main gig. Yeah.
Which is, I would think somewhat comforting, for those who are afraid to die and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from the perspective of the spirit world, it's quite hard to truly get a grasp of it when we are here with the mind, with an ego, with our lens of perception, which feels very limited. But I think from the perspective of the soul self, this place really is just a playground. It's just a place to explore. We're not actually attached to what's good and what's bad. We know that it's all a part of it, and that's why we choose to come here and separate ourselves at some level so that we can experience polarity, so that we can know the highs that come from experiencing those. I don't think that our soul actually has too much genuine investment in good and bad that is happening in this world. As tough and as kind of, this is such a temporary little blip for a divine eternal being which truly has to it,
Yeah, I agree. I've actually only come to that really allowing that truth in my heart in the last year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until this last year I'm like, it's all bullshit. It's all a game,
Yeah.
It really is because I was learning a lot about afterlife through other means, reading books about people who hypnotherapy, put people in hypnosis and talk about what they saw. And, I hadn't gotten really interested in that for a long time. So I started studying it, and the more I see it, the more it's just like it's all a simulation. It's basically a video game. You create your avatar, you create like the obstacles for your little person, and you hold your nose and dive down, and we'll see when you get back. Like it just seems like nothing matters. But I kill people. It was a video game. Like nothing matters at all. Nothing matters. It's only what we. It's really about this throwing yourself into this scenario to see what would happen.
Yeah.
What would you do in that scenario? Yeah.
That's a tough pill for lots of people to swallow.
Yeah.
Like none of it matters, and I think it takes a long time to sit with it, really consider it, and get a feel for it yourself, because it's not something that you can just accept straight away.
No, I mean, and the hard part is applying it in the important times.
Yeah.
So everyone's flipping out, and it's like, oh my God, and because if you say in that moment, you're like, guys, this is just a video game, then the resentment goes even higher, because you sound crazy or whatever. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then when we die, we take the goggles off and we go, whoa, that was a trick. And I'm back in my time.
I know I'm going to be embarrassed watching the tapes. There's times where I'm like, please, delete this. I don't want to
delete that bit. Cut it out.
There's times when I yell at my parents who hadn't passed away. I'm like, and this is what I fucking meant, when I was trying to get through to you, because I talk to enough people, as soon as that angry parent or something goes on their side, they're nice as cake, suddenly like they did no wrong, no harms in the world. What are your observations of that transition? As far as on Earth versus, is it heaven? Should we call it heaven?
I think so. I think it doesn't really matter what we call it. Like we release any aspect of ourselves that we took on in coming here. And before we came here, we were pure divinity, pure spark of divine consciousness. So when we return there, we also leave behind anything that does not vibrate at that exact same frequency of divinity. Anything that we created here, anything that we experienced here, any of the very human traits or the egocentric kind of ways about us, they all get left behind here. And then we return to that pure part of ourselves that has always been. But in the same sense, when a spirit comes forward to connect, when they come back a little bit closer to this vibration, they're obviously going to be coming through in a way where they'll be recognized. So I always say, like, if your grandma was a bitch when she was here, she's going to come through as a bitch to me as well.
Yes, that's true. That's true. The
but
person there, yeah.
Yeah, but in that, I will also be able to, really feel how different she is now, how she sees the way that she was with a grander perspective, how she didn't know how badly all of her wounds and all of her triggers were making her behave that way. Yeah. So it really is just like the most high perspective, but they come through in a way where they will be recognized for sure. So those personality traits, when they come through in a mediumship kind of environment, they're going to come through in a way where they'll be recognized. And if I say she was the most delightful, pleasant, easygoing woman in the world, you're going to go, well, that's not my grandma.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How did you discover this? How old were you, and how did it unfold?
Well, I kind of started developing when I was 15. It was kind of the time where it was awakened within me. And there was about 3 years where I was just obsessed with learning as much as I could, with just like a big sponge. And there were a lot of things within that time that hadn't clicked into place, more so on a personal level. And then when I was about 18 and everything kind of realigned for me, I was kind of trying to do the spiritual pathway without doing the personal development, the personal reflection side of it. When I put them together, the spirit world was just like bombarding me like crazy, like an incredible amount of experiences. But the main way that I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to follow this, was when I was working as a barista in a cafe, and people would come in, and as I was taking their coffee orders, I would see the outline of a spirit standing next to them, and it would just like bubble up and come out of me like, do you know someone, David, who passed in a car crash or something like that? Like, so out of place. Wow. It was so inappropriate to do that to people. They're like at their 9 a.m. on their way to work, getting their coffee, and I'm like blurting out the spirit that's in front of them. But that happened a few times, and then every time I kind of had this impulse to share something, it would always be, you know, they would recognize it. And then there were a few other experiences where I led to my mentors, I led to the right teachings, the right development. But I think I'm a great example of how warped of an idea we have of mediums as a collective, because I think people think when they see a medium work, like they must be seeing a spirit so clearly, they must be hearing it in their ear talking to them. It must just be like so easy for them to receive those messages. But the truth is, it's all about learning to attune yourself to extreme subtlety. Like,
Yeah.
when they're there, you really don't feel all that different than you do just in your normal day-to-day life. It's just like there's just a little tiny extra layer that we learn to become aware of and gather information from. And if you're expecting the spirit world to bombard you and come and wake you up at the foot of your bed in the middle of the night, then you're not keeping yourself open to enough to the more subtle kind of impressions that they're so eager to share with each and every one of us.
That's excellent advice, actually, because I found, I mean, my psychic awareness, I don't want to say I'm a medium. Like, I'm not too interested in talking to the dead. I'll see you in heaven is my attitude. I'll see you in heaven. Like, come on, you're screwed up this ride. But I have talked to, well, I didn't know what the voice is. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know, at first. And then I found out it was angels, and I was like, really? Why are they talking to me? But the discovery was, when I first started doing readings, I would like type up this like huge like Bible to give to the client. Spend like 2 hours on it before they give the client reading, just making sure that I had all the information there. And about like 1 page in, the client's bored, I'm bored, and just this thing just took over me, like where I just would speak nonstop and channel basically. And I recognized, oh, there's like a funny little there's something funky going on inside me when that happens. Like there's a certain vibe, it's like a certain funk. And I don't feel that funk anywhere in life, just in that place. And so I memorized the funk. I know what it felt like. And it wasn't long before I would deliberately go into the funk, and then it would just open up. And I realized, oh, that's the feeling of the energy. The energy is so subtle, And I can think back in other times when I felt that, I wonder what that funk was, before I had made that discovery. So it's these feelings and vibes you have already in you that you're just dismissing as, gas or something. You're like, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. There was like, I'm reflecting on my own childhood, and there were so many things I just dismissed as imagination, me just like making something up in my head. So often, even when I'm doing a mediumship reading that is going incredibly well, I often feel like I'm making half of it up,
Yes.
Like, just, you don't know where it's coming from. You just get into this state where you don't know what's coming out of your mouth, but it's coming out, and you just hope for the best. And when you learn to trust it, it is received well.
Yes. Well, I think your own trust of it builds confidence in the other person. They can tell that you're not messing with yourself, and once that rapport is there, it's great. And then from that core trust, I've just found that opens. So I didn't even realize until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I was having visions.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize. But once I slowed the roll, I was like, oh, I'm describing a picture I saw. I didn't even realize that I've been doing that my whole life, describing pictures that I saw. It happened so fast inside me, I didn't even pay attention to it. So
Yeah.
you realize it is all these cliches, picture of this, that, and yeah, quite fascinating. So what's it like as far as the I mean, you're a Libra. You can get along with anybody. So do you have like a rapport with some of these spirits? Yeah, that's good.
I've got real good boundaries with them at this point. So I've dedicated time and space, and then I've got me time where the door's not open, basically. But when I didn't have an understanding of it, I didn't have an awareness of it, I didn't have any kind of support system to understand how it all worked, it would happen sporadically, and I would feel like, oh, what I'm picking up on is my responsibility. I have to go and share this with someone. But now that would be the most inappropriate thing for me to do, just go up to people in public and start reading for them. I would never, ever do that. But yeah, you really do need kind of a bit of guidance with learning to interpret things, learning to understand things. And it's like what we were just talking about. When you are seeing something visually, it's the same way that you imagine something. So if everyone
Yes.
watched now, you just imagine a yellow flower sitting in a field. Keep your eyes open. Wherever and how strong that image is that's building in your mind right now is the exact same thing that I have to learn to attune myself to when I'm doing readings. It's not that clear. It's just sitting somewhere in my awareness, somewhere in that field. And that's what it's like. It's really not as clear as what people expect it to be. But
I agree. Well said. And it's your imagination. That's what I realized. It's like it takes over your imagination, and your own imagination draws those pictures on behalf of. And the difference was I didn't ask for it to do that. That's what I realized the difference. It's like I didn't ask for to see a picture of a cantaloupe. I didn't. Like there wasn't anything in me that led to it logically. Or like thinking of watermelons just before. Nope. It's just like suddenly a cantaloupe. It's like out of nowhere. And my guides are funny, so they'll throw in something like kind of wacky and goofy. And for years, the funniness in me was coming from them. They were feeding me all the jokes, and I was just seeing the picture I saw, and ha ha ha. But then once I started doing readings, I was like, it's sort of like a cantaloupe, but mama. And they'd be like, and my client would be shocked, like, that's exactly what Papa did. And it's like, oh shit. Like, so sometimes it came to where I was describing precisely something in their childhood or precisely something going on in their life. And that's when you really get goosebumps and you're like, oh, I guess this stuff is real.
Yeah. What just happened? That was weird.
Yeah. Seriously, you're joking? Okay, yeah. I thought maybe right now we saw live.
No, that's what it's like.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. It's and goosebumps. Do you have like those physical affirmations like goosebumps and heat waves and?
Yeah, definitely. Since I have spent a lot of time doing it now, the goosebumps happen in moments that are really like, whoa, like for me. Right. But there's definitely a lot of physical sensation that happens, and when we go into that power, when we expand our energetic field, all of us have some kind of weird, annoying physical thing that happens in our body that is evidence that we are in fact going into the power. I know one of my friends will just get a really runny nose. She always has to have the tissues next to her because she will have to constantly blow her nose while she's doing it. For me, I get the sweats. I'm like, okay, I'm sweating. We're good to go. It's about to happen.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and my mom is psychic, but I don't know, not well tuned. The tuning's off or whatever. But my whole childhood, she's like, my elbow's hurting. That means one of you boys is up to no good. And then my foot kicked in. Oh, Mom, overdid as a kid. But it's true. Like you do have that ache, and a lot of people have been psychic like in the 20s and stuff. Like, oh, the rain's coming. Like they their body was the instrument. And it certainly is an instrument too, an instrument that you use, right?
Yeah, it's where all the energy gets processed through. So the other thing with communicating with the spirit world is people think the spirit is there telling me one thing after another in a specific order. They come forward, give me everything at once, and then I gather just such a small slice of that. It's kind of just like something in between there I can grab onto. I can get a piece of this, piece of that, and then I'm left with all these incredibly random puzzle pieces that I'm having to try and find a way to deliver where the person who knows what they'll mean can put them together and create that puzzle.
Yes. I find too, for me, when I'm looking at a chart, it all channels. So I look at the planets and boom, boom, information, to the point where I can't, my mouth can't keep up. I'm like, so you have to almost select what you're going to say because you don't have enough time, to say it. A lot of times I'll say something and my guides will be like, that's for you too. Like there's a lot of lessons for me that are the same lesson there for them. I just got goosebumps. So it's like where they're like, they trick me into giving the lesson so that I finally listen because otherwise I wouldn't, kind of thing. Do you find you have lessons for yourself or messages for yourself in the reading?
Definitely. Particularly when it's more of like a psychic level. I think it happens for all of us readers that we often are of resonance with people who need to hear what we are currently kind of contemplating or thinking about as well. So often at times when I've been doing readings in the past, I'm like, wow, this is really good advice. I need to take this because we're saying the same thing that we need to kind of understand as well. often.
Yeah, my assumption with that was always that law of attraction.
Yeah.
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 I mean, literally in a chart is precise. Like same Mars, same Pluto. Okay, this is gonna be about me today. I'll have people have the exact same birthday but different places in the world. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm getting a reading. Because you can see literally that I've law of attracted the same. And for me in astrology, it's like math accurate. Like I've had 20 people. I had actually one day where the charts were all the sun sign and rising sign were the exact same. All four of them that day, booked that same day randomly.
Yeah.
And
I get that as
like,
well.
I'm like, I feel like I'm cheating you guys. This is the third time I've said this today, but and it's like they book, months ahead of time, and they all pick
Yeah.
that same spot, and I sit there and do the same reading for 4 times, So it's
cool.
yeah, those are things that just only we see. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if people would believe me if I told them.
Yeah. One day not too long ago, I had a day of 4 clients, and each one of them was a woman in her 30s who had unfortunately lost their husband or partner to murder.
Wow.
And I'm like, the frequency of someone coming that knows someone who has passed in that way is very rare alone. And then the fact that there's 4 in a row, it's just like the odds of this happening are so out of proportion to this actually being here right now. But I think we're so deeply of resonance with certain things, and the spirit world does make things easy for us. Basically, they do line things up. They show us things throughout the day. The universe is constantly responding and reacting to us. So that day was like my last day before a big break, like a month off of readings. And I know that the spirit world brought all these people to me because they knew it was going to be a very heavy, taxing, and emotionally challenging day, and that I'd probably need some time off after that.
Wow.
Because it was very intense.
Huh.
Yeah.
What is your relationship to your guides? Do you have guides that they're familiar? I mean, is there vibration familiar feeling?
Definitely. And I kind of had a feel for them for a while and had some pretty close experiences with one of them. But when I started developing for trance mediumship, that's where they introduced themselves to me in the fullest kind of way. And in that time, when I was developing that and learning how to do that and learning how to kind of completely remove myself from that time and space, I would sit and black out, have my phone recording to see if something would happen, and come back night after night, never be a voice on there. And then one night I came and was scrolling through, not expecting to find anything. And then I hear my guide channeling through me, this deep, slow, wise voice kind of projecting out. It freaked me out, honestly. I was like, oh my God. Even though that's exactly what I'd been attempting and practicing to learn how to do, when I heard it, it really did. That was like full body goosebumps, hairs standing up on the back of my neck, because I didn't have any awareness that it just happened. And since then, and developing trance mediumship more and more, I've gotten very close with that guide in particular. But I still kind of have me time where he's not hanging around me for the day,
Yeah. I mean, there's all those moments where you just want privacy. It's just, y'all, I'm gonna be a human now. Go away.
Human mode, activate, spirit world, doors closed.
Totally. With how much I'm naked. Just kidding. But there's moments like that where it's like, yeah, there really isn't privacy. Just trying not to think about it. I'm not thinking about the fact that there's zero privacy in the world, really. Everything is seen by all spirits everywhere. Grandma, everyone, they're all watching. You know what I mean? So it's kind of shocking that way. Have your guides revealed a curriculum or a plan for you, or built a mission, a longer term thing, or is it they come in the moment, do the job, and just punch the clock, and they'll see you next time?
I think it's very complex in the way that they influence us, and I think more often than not, I don't even know when they're influencing me, but they are.
Right.
And I think that certain blockages will come in the way of something that I'm not supposed to proceed with. I learned to trust those, even though it's not what I thought I wanted to do. And I think a lot of that is contracts, guides. I think that they're much more intertwined with us than we think, but I don't think they have to really think about it in the way that they offer their support to us. I don't think it's like, oh, I've got to go. It's 10 o'clock. It's time to go and drop a message to Sean now. I think it's just a blend that means that their knowledge, their influence is present within me, and that's how the communication happens for me.
That's definitely true for me and Archangel Ratziel, who I didn't even know was an angel. I didn't even know there was an angel named Ratziel. I didn't even know. And someone else told me. I'm like, what? And then once I started to tune into it, I was like, oh, it's like I'm in his head. Like I'm in his head is what it feels like. I'm in his head and I have access to his knowledge. And so I can scour the universe with his eyes, particularly for timelines. I mean, in a reading, he gives me the timeline. But there's now also this rapport between the two of us in his head, where he'll, sometimes he'll comment on like the client, like, here's another one, like
Right.
those like little sides like that. And
With
so,
you.
yeah, with me, it's just a private thing, it's our rapport working together, at the bench or whatever, that's really kind of rewarding and fun too, that you keep to yourself, Do you find that your guides will tell you stuff and then say, don't tell the client this, but
Well, I think that when I'm working and connecting into somebody, I know that I'm going to pick up on multiple different layers of things. And some of them I have to be mindful of what I share or what I don't share. I'm not one of those readers who thinks everything that I pick up on is my responsibility to give, because I think we're nosy, and I think that we can go into areas that aren't of service to their highest good. We can become aware of things that aren't actually the purpose of them being there or the need of them being there. So if there's ever something that's not going to be of service for someone to know, or it's going to embarrass them or leave them feeling less expanded and optimistic and hopeful in leaving that session, those are often things that I will choose to refrain from sharing. If it's something like a warning that I know that they're going to be able to do something about, well, then that I could deliver and offer them suggestions of what they could do to prepare or avoid something like that from happening. But I definitely don't think that like we only pick up on things that are meant to be shared.
Okay, I'm on the same page with you. And I think sometimes it's from my education. I mean, I feel like I'm being schooled in the school of light, and sometimes they'll tell me something, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, But there's just a feeling. There's like this feeling like of a pull, if being pulled out like a horse. That's saying to me, don't let this out. Don't tell them this, but kind of thing. Now we have like a rapport where I know what shouldn't be said and whatnot. And sometimes I think that they, like for instance, this is common. Am I going to end up with my man? Is he the one? And you're like, no. Like instant no. Like he's a loser or whatever. It's not going to work out. Your man is like 5 men down. 5 men down. And it's like, huh? Like what do I say in that moment? And so in that moment, I feel like I'm being told that because to help her, usually her, cope with change, cope with the fact that it's not always, give her a lesson there that, about life and things like that. And if I understand that she's about to go through hell for the next 5 years, I'm just preparing for that hell at that point, and that information helps me help her prepare for the hell without letting her know what I see.
Yeah. And I think also we have to be aware of that, like truly no outcome is definite.
Correct.
Like, we can change an entire timeline based on one decision. And that's why I think as readers, we really have to always refrain from saying, this is what's going to happen, and go, these are the potential timelines, and this is how I see them playing out. This is what you need to do to align with the one that you want to have, or the one that you want to experience. Because a lot of the time people come to us wanting us to make decisions for them, wanting us to, tell them to do something because they can't make up their mind. But that's not on us to do that. That's our job to lay it out, show them everything, prepare them, give them all the tools, and then send them on their way so they can be best prepared to navigate whichever one they want to follow.
Yes, I completely agree. What about? I mean, do you have a teaching component in your work too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mentor people who are exploring their abilities and run a bunch of different courses for different levels of mediumship, and people who just want to explore their intuitive abilities, want to learn how to kind of connect in more for themselves, train their ESP, read auras, kind of do a whole range of things like that.
Interesting. Do you have any knowledge of your past lives?
Yeah, yeah. The most interesting one that's been confirmed for me was that I was my mum's brother who passed as a baby.
Oh, wow.
And he was like a cot death. It was really tragic. My grandmother's latest son. And my grandmother and I have always just been like so incredibly close, had the most beautiful relationship. And I was the youngest of the grandchildren. She ended up having the most one-on-one time with me when my parents were traveling, and there were a lot of synchronicities, but the most amazing one was that his name was Dean, Dean.
That's
And
crazy.
my name is just one letter different. Just change the D to an S and that's me again, which was completely unintentional, obviously, but it kind of came to me in a way where I realized, saw my grandmother coming towards me, younger than I knew her to be, and then I knew I was in the spirit world, watching over all that tragedy and loss that had happened, and making a decision like I need to come back to her in this lifetime. I need to mend what she's lost. I need to come back into her life, and obviously it was something that was meant to happen, but something that was also meant to be kind of repaired as well, I guess.
I have a very similar. It's going to blow your mind. So, I was my grandmother's first baby who died of pneumonia.
Right.
Yes, and then my father was born. His name is Dean.
Ah.
Oh,
Whoa.
I know. I know. I was keeping it quiet when you're telling the story. And so my grandmother recognized me as her son and like had to kind of keep her mouth shut. But my mom, who's psychic, always saw it. So it was like jealousy between them. He's my boy. He's mine.
Mm.
I had asthma my whole life. I had pneumonia. 3 months being born, I had pneumonia right away. So I was grieving as a baby. And then my father and I fought all the time because like now I know why I had an attitude about him. Like, you're my fucking kid brother. He's my
Yeah.
my father's my baby brother. You know what I mean? And it's weird how that happens. But I came back in the line as soon as I could. Which was the firstborn of the next family. So it's
Wow.
interesting that those weird politics, huh?
And that's crazy that we have such like similar stories that overlap at such strange points. And that just goes to show what it's like with what we were talking about before. Like some days you'll read for the four same people, you do the four same things, and like that's exactly the same as what's just happened here.
Totally. Yeah, and Grandma's the one who saw me and knew me and helped me come. I mean, I'm who I am because she encouraged all this. Like very young, telling me, sending me messages about who I am and what I can be capable of, and she comes through every reading. That's something about people. I don't know if people realize about mediumship. I didn't know what to think, mostly because my father was overbearing about beliefs. So he's just overbearing about this is the way it is, and he was actually right, but his insistence that he was right and that I was wrong just made me close the door and not listen to him. So it took a while to thaw and come up with my own beliefs. So what happens is like once these people pass away, I'm a reader, you're a reader, we'll do a trade. Grandma comes through. Grandma comes through. Grandma. It's like everywhere, like it's not like a subtle thing. It's like they come through and they say the same message and it's like, no, don't tell me, Grandma. Like they start describing, these people. So you get like crazy affirmation. You said earlier, and it was affirmed, Tell us what affirming is, in your opinion.
I think affirming in the sense of like trying to get a feel for what has happened for you or whether something is accurate and true is we have this knowingness within us, and then the universe, the spirit world, our guides, God, all have a way of proving or giving us signs and evidence that the things that we suspect and the things that we feel are in fact true or to be trusted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I literally will have, I literally will have affirmations that blow you out of the water where in one, a medium was telling me, oh, you were this person in past life, this person. I'm like, bullshit. the bullshit meter goes right off. Now I realize it's like, if you have that reaction, it's because you were still pissed about that life, right? Like, you want to hear that? Like, now I realize, I was in denial. But then it was like a week later, a good friend of mine comes up to me like, dude, I did a past life regression. You know who you were? Like, shut up. Like, so you get these goosebump affirmations, at least I do. And I think maybe it's because I'm in this business. I'm here to help open the door and make people feel comfortable about this stuff. But it's like so undeniable in your life, so undeniable, and you don't know if someone will believe you when you tell the story, but you have no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what do you think it seems like they're just upstairs watching us like a football game. Like, what is your impression?
I think they're definitely invested and they're definitely observing. But I think that it gets very complex when you start to look at how time doesn't really exist within the spirit world, and linear scale is just an illusion, everything like that. But I think they're available. As soon as you think of them, they are with you. As soon as you wonder if they're trying to connect with you, if you wonder if they're trying to send you a message, they are. So much, the veil is so much closer than we think it actually is. It's not some place that is separated by us through distance. It is just separated through us by vibration. And if you all just reach your fingertips out and start wiggling them to the side of you, wherever you're wiggling your fingertips, that's how far away the spirit world is from you by distance. And to connect with them, all you have to do is expand your energetic field to where that would reach to. And that's the vibration that it overlaps.
So to talk to us, what you're saying is they expand their vibration to, come into our aura, come into our energy field, and that's how we make contact?
I think it's more us that raise our vibration to meet them. Like, for a consciousness to be able to lower its vibration at all, it needs a physical vessel to do that. It needs to be able to ground its way in somehow to a lower vibration. So we're the ones who have a bit of both. We don't have they don't have the body, they don't have the ability to kind of move between vibrations. They're in that pure place always, without exception. And we're the ones who have to meet them where they are at so that we can communicate and overlap with them.
Do you abuse your power and like dial into dead celebrities, like check in anything kind of?
Yeah. Well, I often, like with my group, with my mentorship groups, I love to open up and say, like, okay, who's out there today? Who wants to come and work with a group of mediums? And then I'll get a feel for someone that is pretty well known or that everyone will be able to maybe recognize, hopefully. And then I'll invite them in and say, okay, we're working with a particular consciousness today. Describe their personality, feel into their life story, see what comes through, see what symbology, what messages you get, guide them through all of that, and then see if they can end up at the result of who we are connecting to. And it's amazing the affirmation that those souls are present with us in that moment, because inevitably the group will all end up at a one person as the decision, and they've never got it wrong as a group.
Interesting. I know I've had particularly when I was drinking a lot, like when I was drinking a lot, like I've had some dead celebrities come in and I'm just like, no, but then I go research the next day, like, it wasn't shitting me. It was, and I'm like, why are you interested in what I'm thinking? So it's pretty interesting. I've been in a few arguments with some too. So the ego's still there, like some's still there, right? So
I think we can kind of call upon them, and they're there to talk to us as easy as we can think of them. So anyone, if you've got any major celebrities that you absolutely adore, don't worry, because when they do transition, you'll be able to talk to them on the daily. You'll have a personal relationship with them at that point. So don't be as devastated as you would naturally be without that.
That's a good point. Actually, that's a very good point. You do have access. I recently had it's kind of interesting too, just to share stories. That I was mispronouncing something, over and over again, And a colleague of mine was like, maybe that's this friend we know that died. And I was like, huh, maybe it is. So I went to a person that works with us who can dial up anybody, and sure enough, it was. And it's my boss from TV from 20 years ago. She was giving me notes on one of these shows. She was butting in to like give me an opinion, like literally trying to help me make better TV. And I was like, holy moly, like this is, now it's jumping off the page. Like as far as cooperation between living and dead, you know, real cooperation, really there to help, and really cares, like wants her guy to win, you know, kind of thing. And you feel the love still for that person, and the connection. And I could swear I felt her around a few times, but you know, you back that stuff off, right?
Yeah.
Into kind of moment. So, so I went back for more advice and asked a few more questions. Seriously, I'm trying. I'm like, why not? Might as well have that advantage, you know, in life. You know, someone's up there looking from the top. Do you feel any sort of agenda, you know, as far as the Earth story is concerned? Because what I heard is allegedly in the Atlantean period, you know, there were people like yourself that all you did was all day make phone calls up to heaven, you know, and come back with answers, come back with answers, come back. That literally the first versions of Atlantis were run by heaven, you know, with down to disciples and to government, you know, like, so literally from heaven down.
Yeah.
The world seemed to be coming closer, do they not? I mean, do you see, is it heading anywhere?
I definitely think so. And I think everyone is realizing that this connection is not just for like special people. It's not just for people who are uniquely gifted or anything like that. Everyone is a soul consciousness, so everyone has this potential within them to an extent. And I truly feel like the Earth goes in cycles the same way everything else does. And as beings that incarnate here, we know that there's going to be this beginning, this middle ground, this rise, and then maybe staying there for a while, and then a fall and a reset and a start over again. And I think that the last time before that was, you know, but before now was the Atlantean, Lemurian time. But I think that it would have happened time and time and time again before that as well, that there's just no evidence of at all anymore.
Yeah. And are you in contact now? That brings up galactic ideas. You know, I wasn't very galactic till I was maybe in my 40s, and then information starts coming in about who I was in the past life, and it's, you know, my company's name's Serious Joy, and it was serious. I'm like, oh shit. I mean, I thought I was being clever, you know, like I'm getting goosebumps now. So it's like, and sure enough, you know, my past life wife from Sirius like recognizes me, and she's like, we were married on Sirius, you know. It's just like, and I'm like, I believe that, you know, like kind of thing. Have you had contact with where you were before Earth or any of that galactic connection?
Yeah, definitely. That's another whole aspect of what I do, and I'm running like a Star Beings retreat here in Bali later this year. Ooh. So I'm all about it, and I'm all about bridging that world as well and creating direct contact with them. But I don't think that any of us have only been to Earth. I think I think that we just are able to pick up on those memories much more easily than off-Earth experiences, because of the fact that we're filtering through the lens of an ego mind and how we perceive ourselves now. So it's much more easy for us to gather those memories from other lifetimes rather than ones where we had a completely foreign body or state of existence, even if it wasn't a physical existence, but it was still a incarnation of some kind. So I've definitely had glimpses and memories and picked up on things and communicated with beings that are off Earth, that have had a deep resonance with or a knowingness with. And I don't believe that there's certain people who are starseeds or have like influence of different kind of off-Earth planets. I feel like we all have been everywhere. We're not as new as we think that we are. We're not just a few in. We've been doing this for a long time, people.
I know. I recently connected to Mary Magdalene, which is something she's coming through a channel at Serious Joy, which is in itself like humbling. I mean, you know, the wife of Jesus. You're like, okay, you know, like, what do you got to say, Aunt Mary? You know, but one thing she said to me was like that her and I have known each other for like 20 or 30,000 years. You know, I was like, what? Like, it just blew my mind as far as, you know, you know, and also just I think there's a team of us like that we just go around doing this, you know, like it's like Legos. I like going building planets. Let's build a population up. Let's have some fun, you know. You know, to me it's like a play. It's like theater, you know. Like there's a part of my soul I know just bounce from planet to planet and have fun like that. I know that. I don't know what they all are, but I know that Earth. I remember the day. I have one memory where I was an alien looking at them, and I'm like, I'm doing this next. This is gonna be fun. Like I remember. Like one little memory, I was like, yes, I'm going to be a human. This looks cool. You know, like this is the next thing to do, guys, you know, kind of thing. So I feel that. But I do feel like there are people who just came. Like I think Elon Musk just came over a couple lives ago. Like, you know, he seems kind of new.
Yeah. I think from what Spirit has influenced me to see is that for us to truly evolve, we have to experience both ends of the spectrum. And I think the most advanced souls have also been the ones who, well, advanced, if that's what you want to call it, have also left very negative imprints on the earth at times as well. And I think that to expand, you have to expand in both directions. You have to experience and understand each end of that scale to be able to truly, truly have that evolution. So, yeah, could be first couple of goes, or maybe like someone like that who's having a certain impact has had a very, very different impact at another time that has been of a similar scale.
Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, I no longer get so, I mean, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm not so worried about murder anymore and war, because it's like, oh, everyone has to do that. You know, I did that, you know, 20 lifetimes ago I was doing that. I took that class, you know, it sucked. I didn't like it, but you know, I don't think anyone gets out of it. You know, you had to, you know, and even if you're murdered innocently, you have to be a murderer next. It doesn't matter about right and wrong. You have to learn what it's like to be the person that killed you. And it's like, you know, that's how, it's like a drama class. You got to play both roles, it seems like. And it's not even a judgment. This is the way it is. If you're going to do this one, you're going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that too.
Your soul knows all the trials and tribulations that are possible in coming here, and it chooses to come here anyway and just to experience something. So I definitely agree that we find ourselves in all different broad spectrums, and people who think that they've only had these really beautiful lifetimes and have only left positive impacts, I think shutting off from another whole layer of them where they have been here doing other types of things as well. But we don't want to see ourselves in that way. Like it's not right. Conducive to the nature of our ego to want to go, well, what were the terrible things that I've done?
Yeah. I like playing the bad guy. I just don't like that character. As an actor, I just playing that character. It's not as much fun, you know, for me. So I get that. But you can feel that there's a resonance. Like even when people are mean or whatever, to me, I'm like, I know what that's like. You know, like there's a knowing there. I know, even though I'm hurt. And a lot of times I have people come in who feel victimized, you know, and then we get into the reading. I'm like, you were a bastard in your last life, like a real son of a bitch, like, you know, kind of thing. And they're kind of wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. Like, I'm like, I can't even imagine. It doesn't even dawn on them that was a possibility. A lot of times when you're getting really hurt, you were the one hurting.
Yeah.
And last time, so it's your turn, kind of thing. Which for me allows me to just kind of go on and not to worry too much about it and whatnot. So when you, how do I put this? For people who are listening right now, you know, watching this, what is the number one piece of advice you would give them if they're hurting over a loved one? Because I see people hurting so badly over it. And again, I don't want to sound like a jerk. I know grief hurts. Like, that's another piece I want to talk about, why grief hurts so much. But what's the first thing you would say to them and help them to heal from it in a way that's calm?
It's tough because the way we connect is through elevated states of emotion. That is how we raise our vibration, to be able to feel our loved ones, to open the door for them to send us those signs and show us that they're there. So the ego has that nature to grasp on and to become something. So when we lose a loved one, there's a part of us that wants to go, this is my entire existence now. This is who I'm becoming. This pain is now me. And that leads you down a pathway where you're not going to be able to connect with them easily at all. So I believe that we need to observe our emotions. We need to be aware of that if we want to connect to them, we have to try and take a moment to remember them fondly, know that they are with us, think about those memories that do bring us joy without allowing them to take us down into the dumps and feel really terrible and overwhelmed and stuck within that grief again. But if you can allow yourself the grace to dip in and out of that grief as much as you possibly can, to take a moment to intend to connect and just feel that they're there with you, and remember what it's like to be in a loving space with them, to feel their love, to feel their joy, then those are the moments where they are going to be able to send a hello from heaven and prove to you that they are still there. But they can't do it if you become your grief. So try to not grasp onto it and allow yourself to move through the rhythms of it with grace and kindness to yourself.
Brilliant advice. And what I've noticed too with death, there's some sort of an energetic cord that runs from the parent to the child, I feel. There's some sort of energetic cord. And when they both, when my father passed, I felt an energy drop, like boom, like there was a clear, like something was cut off, like that was there. And my body felt, because I was mad at him. I was like, good, you know? So my energy and my emotion was like, finally, the earth is mine, you know, like I don't have to deal with you anymore. So there was a gratitude there that was over, but there was also, my body went through a depression of the loss of the energy.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that too? Like, is there something being cut?
Definitely. And even if you don't feel like it's there, you know it's gone when you lose it. And I haven't had that experience myself, but I've seen it with many, many people. And like, we're angry with what people can be angry with someone until they die, and then they're like, I thought I was going to be completely fine with this. Why am I having all of this emotion? Or why am I so confronted by this?
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely any part of us that you have been born out of, you're a part of, you have been that intertwined with, even if it's been filled with anger and rage or resentment for a long time up until that, you still grieve it on a level that you might not have prepared yourself for.
Yes, some sort of an energetic level that, it's a bit surprising when you think you're going to be fine or whatever. Yeah. So looks like you do so much at a young age. So I wonder where 5 years, I can't wait to see where you are, because you're doing so amazing at this age. I personally believe you must have done this in another life to have this much talent.
Thank you. I definitely have had memories of being a conduit of spirit in other ways. But one where I was in England and just drove off the road and found myself at this church where I went into this trance-like state, and I became the version of myself who actually lived there.
Wow.
Yeah, and I saw myself there in more of a religious aspect, but doing a similar work in front of a church full of people. And that was intense. That was very, very intense. I had to go and lay on the grass for like 2 hours and just like absorb what had just happened after that, because it was so intense. And then I found out that this random little town in England, my grandparents and my dad lived there for a year when he was a child. So it was so strange. It was literally just like on a 4-hour drive, we're 2 hours in. Should we go for lunch soon? Yeah, let's take this and go see what the nearest town is. And that's where we ended up.
That's amazing. And from what I understand, the memories of that life are stored in Earth consciousness right there at that location. So it's embedded in the consciousness of that area. So the return to that area is the downloading of the file, you know, and client after client after client, you know, they're like, I just feel like I'm going to Europe this summer. I don't know why. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you why. You were going to download something, and you're ready to process it or whatever. So yeah, I've actually stayed the hell out of Europe right now. I don't want to see that right now. I don't need to download it.
Not ready to open that door just yet. Yeah, well, anywhere that
probably
maybe, but yeah, anywhere that we have been as a creative consciousness that leaves energy, anywhere that we go, we imprint on environments, and then we find ourselves magnetized towards them unknowingly, and then we find ourselves there and we're like, why do I know this place, or why do I feel all of these emotions when being here, when I'm not seeing anything that is making that obvious to me? But your intelligence remembers whether you kind of know it, whether you're aware of it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And more people are waking up to that too. I've been really surprised and excited to see, 10 years ago when I started this, people are like, huh, they kind of give a funny look to me. Now they have a story to share. Like they've got their own thing. Like I used to be the only guy in the room telling these stories. Now everyone's got a story, about what they're picked up on and whatnot. So it's fun to see. I wonder what kind of a world, I wonder if we'll be in a world where like this, maybe these next wave of children, just full on memory of past lives. I wonder if we're going to erase our past life memories anymore.
Well, yeah, I think there's so many. Like, where do we even start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the chart only shows a few. It doesn't show all of them. So tell us how people can work with you without having to fly to Bali.
Well, if you want to come to Bali, you can.
Okay.
But at the moment, I have all my courses, all my things that you can learn from. I do have one-on-one readings still, but there's nothing available in the foreseeable future at the moment. But I'm putting all of my energy into a book at the moment. So I'm writing a book. But if you're in Australia, I am going to be doing a tour later this year. I am going to be doing some shows and doing some live audience readings and connecting to people. And that way, it might make it over to New Zealand, I'm hoping. And then I'll be somewhere, hopefully, where I can connect with everyone who's watching if they want to. But I also am very excited to get back into my readings and doing more online events and all of that. But SeanPsychicMedium.com, you can find anything and any way of working with me there.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, we've all come together via the internet, so it's not a far. You certainly seem to have great acute knowledge of the experience of being, you're paying attention to the experience as much as you are what the experience is teaching you. So I would be very comfortable in your hands as a teacher, because it seems like you are really there with me empathically when you describe things. I feel like I'm being, I've got a diving coach with me kind of thing, whereas other teachers are just kind of like, this is how it works. And you're like, there's no personal, so.
Thank you. But yeah, I do really believe that, like, you have to experience it for yourself. You have to feel it. You have to kind of have a resonance with it for it to stick with you. Otherwise, it's just going to go, oh, what does that mean? Yeah,
and I'll just add to that for people watching, you have to ask for that. I mean, you're not going to force an experience on you. You have to ask in your heart, like, hey, show me something. And at that point, you're open. A lot of people don't ask, and so heaven don't tell.
You got to open that door for sure.
Oh, excellent. Well, I hope we cross paths again. I'd love to have you on again sometime.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. When you have your talk show and I'm out traveling, we'll flip roles, so it'll be great. And stay backstage for a minute before you pop away, and we'll say goodbye there as well. Thank you so much, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That was lovely, Sean Collyns. It's so interesting to see the different. It's just really cool to see the different personalities, around the world. Just to see different cultures and how they popped in. There's like a common vernacular amongst us light workers, and it's cool to see. It's just cool to see because it's, when I started on this, it was a very lonely path in the sense of I was one wackadoodle among, it was the next wackadoodle was not 10, 20 miles away. Like now there's wackadools everywhere. It's like pretty, less lonely. And also, it feels like we're building something, which is what Unite the Light's about, by the way. If you're watching this and you want to be a part of this, what we do, I think it's a big part of the future. I think it's going to be more popular than cashier clerks, honestly, as far as light work is concerned. I feel like it'll be the biggest industry in the future because, frankly, there's nothing else to do. Once robots are doing everything for you, what are you going to do? Spirit world. I think you're going to start going down that path and opening up your consciousness there. And so, Serious Joy and Unite the Light and the people that I work with, we're really interested in setting that up and creating some connections. So that's a plug. I'll tell you, Unite the Light will have tickets available probably next week. We'll make an announcement for that. We are just putting all the pieces together. It's turning out to be a lot of fun doing that as well. And a few other announcements I have, which we're going to be not doing here in the future. I'm going to be kind of making this part less boring with me talking all the time. But let's see here real quickly. Too many notes, too many different things. About 5 documents open right now as far as where the notes are. Here we go. So some announcements we just want to make real quickly before we go. One of them is Serious Joy. Old Unite the Light. I naturally went there. We have tickets and sponsorship coming soon. You can be a sponsor right now at Unite the Light. You can get ahead of that and buy yourself a nice prominent placement. We're being really creative about where we put sponsorships. And so people really have an opportunity to be introduced to these people. We're talking about several hundred people who all believe in this. So if you are, a reader, if you're a little reader in Nebraska and you just don't, everyone in your town don't believe in this, advertise. We're not outrageous. We're very affordable, and you're going to reach your market. Sometimes that's how you have to do it. But we'll have details on that coming up next week. Don't forget the Love and Lust reports. Bow, wow. They're available right now live. They've been remastered on SeriousJoy.com. You join us for $3.99. And I'll tell you a little secret. There's a way to re-engineer it so you can listen to your wife and your husband and everything else. So there's a way to listen to a lot of them. But join Serious Joy for just $3.99. If you want to be on this path of where we are, you have to join other people on the path. And that's what Serious Joy is. We're all together on this path together. And why do it alone, right? Right. And then I noticed LOL. I might as well post LOL since it's not in my notes, but boy, Scott and I are having a good time. And this week he's taken off the hat and we found out what was underneath it. So Leaving Out Loud is where we kind of talk frankly and make psychic jokes and go there. We go there to the controversial topics. It's live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. But you don't have to watch it live. You can watch it after it's taped. It's a great time. And we have, this week we were talking about the nature of relationships and where relationships are going to go and grow. Again, you can advertise on Serious Joy and our TV products. Just email us at advertise@seriousjoy.com, advertise@seriousjoy.com. One thing people may not realize is we use astrology to help place your ad. That's why it's ad intuitive. We're not just putting it out there on a Thursday. We're finding the best Thursday for you and your product. So this is where we're competing on a level, another whole quantum level that, Procter & Gamble, kiss my ass. I can't think of nothing. Mm-hmm. All right, and don't forget, sharing is caring. We appreciate you. The best thing you can do is share us with your friends and family because that word of mouth is priceless. We have the Facebook group at seriousjoy.club. So if you'd like to hang out with other people like yourself and not feel weird about posting a reincarnation pic, you can do that there. If you want to know more about us, go to Linktree at seriousjoy.social. Where you'll be able to see other places. I've got 3 new interviews to post there. I've been doing interviews like crazy. And so I got a new one I have to post recently. So I'm going to post that. If you want to hear me talk about stuff, And some people like to listen instead of watch. So we do an audio podcast. We call this a TV podcast. We have an audio podcast available on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. Because we don't have credits yet, I'll give credit where credit's due. Good credit to my co-executive producer, Diane DeStefano. She rocks. Our graphic artist, Christopher Sage, is doing a great job. Our director, Adam Tim, is doing great. And our intuitive advertising executive, Jenny D, is doing phenomenal. And probably the best of the best, the bright stars that they really are. The brightest stars in the sky are the faculty of our club and our service. That's Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Gwen English, and Daiki Okamoto. By the way, Daiki and I are on Instagram every Thursday, doing Instagram Live on the Serious Joy Instagram channel. So if you want to come hang out with us then, Daiki and I have some brother talk, some boy talk over spirituality. And an extra special thanks to the SJ Light Runners, which is a group of about 14 people who volunteer every week because, the spirit is there. The money isn't always. So we thank you. We appreciate you. All right. Now, friends, that's all I have to say. I'll have to say I started today feeling very cranky and I feel good now. So some things do change just by moving into the light. I'll see you in 1 week with more. Remember, I love you. Live, love, be.